Okay.
Hey guys, happy Friday. Oh, we got Marky Mark in the house. We got Aunt Pat, who is Marky Mark's aunt. We have the AP and Mistaken. My name is Shan Monet, and this is the Chic critique. Listen, y'all. This is my heat pad, and my heat pad will be joining me tonight. Ooh.
You trying to get a lot of super chats with this heat pad dance.
Marcus, why y'all do that? Like this, I was trying to do. This is because of my headache I have.
Did you see the shimmy?
Mm-hmm.
All this. You got every Friday.
See, this is what I'm talking about. See, when you are a voluptuous woman like myself, people. I'm just playing. I guess I should have wore the tank.
No, you good. Super chats need to come up.
Why am I just trying to pimp you?
As long as I'm fully covered, that's all that matters. I don't care.
The game is so.
You got a pimp spirit.
Me? The game supposed to be sold, not told. Hold on.
So tonight we are talking about trophy versus treasure in dating. Are you a trophy? Are you a treasure? Which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But first, what is going on with Diddy? Like, it's a lot of things that are coming out right now. Yeah. I'm a little not surprised. It just amazes me that one could have so much going on for themselves and we still fall into temptation of doing other things, right? You can be on the top of your game doing it. You have been allowed this opportunity to be the man. But it's still we fall victim to, our vices, as I would say. It's crazy to me. The last I heard was the raid. I don't know. I don't even know what the allegations. Does anybody know what the allegations are?
I think like sex trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's a difference between. So is child sex trafficking or just sex trafficking?
I think it was sex trafficking. Did they say child?
No, they haven't said child yet.
As it stands,
it's sex trafficking, gun possession. They haven't said anything about the hard drives that they got in his 2 residences. So there's going to be a lot more that comes out.
So I've seen something about underage girls. That's why that was one of the complaints, I guess. So maybe that was just the news outlets reporting it.
You said they said
something about underage
girls.
You said what, Marky Mark?
They said something about underage girls, yeah.
Because I was thinking if these women were in consent of what was going on, I know escorting, it's illegal to have, but how would that be any different from the Playboy Mansion? If it did not include underage females is totally different.
The difference too is that at the Playboy Mansion, no money or nothing was being exchanged. So technically that wouldn't be, you know what I'm saying? If there was any money exchange or he was paying for them I think that's a little different. I think that's what makes it sex trafficking because it was he was flying them out like over.
So when you go over state lines, that's when the feds can get involved. But he was supposed to be doing like a power broker. So it doesn't necessarily have to be cash. You can use influence as a form of paying for trafficking.
Interesting. Now, it does not surprise me that Lisa Wu was on there because that's not her real name, and I think that somebody, and this is allegations, but I think somebody pulled her criminal record up, and it didn't have some stuff on there that wasn't so great. So her name being pulled into it wasn't a surprise to me. 50 Cent's baby mama's fighting back. She said she had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, she levied the allegation at 50 Cent after that, saying that he might have done something to her because he was teasing her about it. talking about, I didn't know I had married a prostitute. You was trying to have a baby with me, and now you were prostitute.
But
they were married? He was married to her?
Well, no. Well, he was saying like, yeah, we broke up because you wanted to have a baby, so you moved closer to me. That didn't work, and now you sex. Now you a prostitute.
50's actually talking about going for full custody of his child. Also,
you should.
I saw that.
It's a big mess. But I have a different kind of question. I think that maybe perhaps to get that kind of power, you have to do certain things. Once you've done those certain things, then you're allowed to get that type of power. And all you know how to do is use that power to basically keep this cycle going. For example, Epstein. Like, where did his true power come from? Once he was given it, once he was blackmailed, then he was given the power, and then he started doing the same thing that Diddy is being accused of, right? So I think that, honestly, they got to have people that do that stuff. Those people with that power have got to have people that does that, that provides that service. Diddy did something that was real unique, where in at least what I heard in the Miami home, he had a camera in every single room, and apparently they have seized well over 200 hours worth of video footage. So I am curious to see what we get to learn before
Harrison, you be taking these long
suicided.
pauses. Thinking you do.
I was going to say, I think that I don't know if you necessarily have to do things once you get money. I think what happens is when you get enough money to get access, I think that's what makes you go in a direction to see how far you can go. And I remember a while ago, we had this conversation in regards to, I think we had talked about like sex, and we were saying, like, I was saying, I didn't understand for men, why do they need to do like degrading things to women when it comes to that? And Marcus, I think you said it. I think you were saying it's just to see how far you can go, like how is something in y'all psyche that, like, if a chick allows you to do whatever, it's just something about that. So you need to see how far you can go. So I think with money and power, I think that's the same, like that same high, I guess y'all get from that, is to see how far I can go. You're going to keep pushing the envelope, And when you have money, it is no limit really to how far you can push the envelope. So I think that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, I think I briefly remember that. I think what I was saying was that people who have like a desire to do something that's not normal have to reach like extreme celebrity so they can even have access to doing some of that. So I think I was trying to parallel, is there a correlate? Because a lot of times we hear politicians be in that situation, like entertainers, actors, people who have reached the top. So is there a correlation between the people who have the drive to get there? Is it sexual? Because I think I paired it with, like in high school, the guys who normally can get what they want in high school don't normally succeed to the upper limits because sexually they're able to satisfy everything they want to satisfy. But the men who don't usually get, like the guys people call nerds or say wasn't having sex in high school, usually really excel because the sex was off limits to them. So is it something biological about it?
I think so. What I personally think is,
Jen, you getting like a feedback or something.
I know, but I'm not. So now I didn't do anything. Okay, so basically what I'm thinking, because P. Diddy was known for his parties, right? The all-white party, people wanted to go, was like the best thing. I think people are always trying to one-up it. You're the guy of the party, so now you like got to do it extravagant. And then you have people like these other guys who they were known for being party goers. So that made them hide, like got them into another group of friends, because it's like, okay, the party house, and it kind of keeps your relevance a little bit, because let's just be honest, P. Diddy is big, but he kind of, it's going through, he's a little older now, so it's going down a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Now his money may be going up, but he has to keep the relevance going a little bit. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, but this is crazy. That you're never just satisfied with just being great. You just got to keep it. And that's another thing. People want stardom so bad, but they don't even understand what it takes to keep it. You want to be so relevant, and it becomes an addiction just to keep it going. To keep being in the spotlight, keep people knowing you for something. It becomes an addiction. And when you lose that, you feel lost, I don't know.
No, JD was talking about it. He said the game is like a light bulb with 11 million watts, and I'm just a moth addicted to the flame. Like, that fame is a drug. Relevancy is a drug. Clout is a drug.
Power is a drug.
Power is a drug. And a lot of the stuff, and what they say, I think, quote the Shan, the other Shan, he be saying, Oscar Wilde quote is, what is it? Everything in the world is about sex, except the sex. That's about power.
And I think it's on both sides. I think men try to, like I was saying, like seeing how far they can go. I think that's a power thing. But I think on the flip side, women use sex as power too.
Absolutely.
So I definitely, that makes sense.
Marcus, last night we were talking about, using sex as a step up. You remember how we brought that up, and it was like, do you?
Hold on. Let me ask my aunt this question, because I just thought about it. Do you think, she probably won't agree with y'all, but do you think that a woman can make it further in her career by sleeping with the person in charge of the business, or prayer?
I would say prayer.
Don't tell Marcus that, baby. You're gonna be going in a circle, because he's not gonna listen. He's not gonna hear it.
Well, he already knew what I was gonna say before when he asked me the question. I'm gonna definitely have to say prayer, because what happens with the sex part of it is that as soon as the next new thing come along, you kick to the curb. So your sex has done absolutely nothing. It's a temporary thing.
But get that twat.
That's it.
Just banged out. That's all they got. It has limits.
It does. It really does have limits, unless you doing some stuff that completely blows his mind. But look, no matter how good you are, the next sister coming along, she gonna be better.
She gonna be willing to do something different, because again, it's the power.
Rules that you can't even think about doing because of flexibility, different things. So to me, prayer is absolute. It does not change. It changes things, but it does not change, and nobody can mess with it. Well, Marcus, as y'all know, is not necessarily a believer, but
that's why Marcus.
I believe in prayer.
No, I might have changed my views. You don't know.
I said maybe not.
Then I apologized to you the other day about coming
did.
at you about, so you don't know. I could have changed my views.
But I said not necessarily that you weren't. I was being diplomatic.
Yeah.
So listen to this.
Actually, sorry.
So I will say this to the question from last night. This was my point in bringing it up. I do think it has influence, right? Because I do believe that a lot of these people are in the situations that they're in, because these are not people who don't have names for themselves that are being called out as being a part of this little chain, right? So there is something in this particular situation that is sex driven, that's getting you. So they're getting something out the deal. And let me just say this, because I think in my mind, I was thinking just women. It sounds like it's a male thing too. Like they getting over for opportunity as well.
Yeah.
Lapping them cheeks. Ain't that what y'all say?
Vaseline goes a long way.
My theory is real simple. When you pray, God gives you what you need. If you throw in that box around, the devil's giving you what you want.
Say it.
You, AP.
Yes. Yes.
So in essence, Marcus is right. If your desire is to, let's say, be vice president of the United States, and all you are is a clerk in the California General Counsel, what's the best way to get there? Make that deal with the devil and drop them draws.
I see what you did. That's Kamala Harris' path, ain't it? You funny.
That is, sir. That is, sir.
Exactly what you just did. You know what you're talking
It was
about?
good, AP. It was very appropriate.
Oh, that was a nice I don't think nobody else caught that. I'm like, oh, yeah.
But let me ask y'all something. Do y'all really think, y'all probably say yeah, but I think for women, we have to move a little different, because I think it will always be where if you end up having relations with somebody within your field, or even if it has nothing to do with you trying to get on top, that is automatically going to be assumed that you slept your way to the top, even though that wasn't the case. So, you know,
unless you're like not a looker, because nobody believes Oprah slept her way to the top. Nobody. Not one person believes that. We know she was smart. And the truth is, she very well could have. No, I'm just saying she could have, but who's really, like you said, who's really gonna believe it, right? So I do think it plays on is a specific type, a specific look. You know what I'm saying? That people are looking for. But if you just decided, yo, I'm really feeling this dude. He happened to be the VP. We hit it off and we're dating. And then if it goes south or you end up, becoming big yourself, then they always try to tie a woman's success to a man. That's the issue. Like, you can't just do it of your own accord. And along the way, if you do happen to like somebody and y'all have a relationship, now he gets the credit for the work that you really put in and he had nothing to do with it. We have to move very different. So one of the things that you brought up, which moves me into, and I guess we can move the
Hold on, Pat was saying something, but Marcus is
go ahead, Mark. I mean, go ahead.
I was saying it's not even just a relationship, a sexual relationship, like with a husband or a boyfriend or whatever. It's the same thing. It could be your father. It's the reason they say you got to the top. It could be your uncle. Is the reason. But it's always tied to a male figure.
Mm. Yeah.
So. Mistaken said something that was very interesting, which goes into kind of our last topic. But since she said it, I kind of want to just move on into it. We don't go in order around here. The looks, your looks make a difference, right? And when we go into looks, do you think that women? Why am I? Can you put your thing on mute? I don't know why it's the echo. Okay, so do you think that people, when it comes to career, also when it comes to relationships, do you think that people are often judged by their body types, their look, and it could be an unfair judgment? For example, she looks a certain way, not even that she's dressing appropriately. Oh, she must have slept her way to the top. Or for men, she looks a certain way, she can't be wifey material. I gotta put her in the sexual category. Like, do you think that that's a thing?
Is it? I said, unfortunately, it is a thing. And the reason I say this is because I have a lot of conversations with males of various ages, and they all pretty much say the same thing. And it's very unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I don't know if I fully understand what you're asking, Shan.
So basically, went for clarity. When women, just because, let's go solely off the base of what she looks like, and we're not even going to take clothing in consideration, just what she looks like she may be have a voluptuous body or whatever. So do you think that women can be unfairly judged just because of their body, something they can't control?
Yeah, absolutely. You seen that? Remember that teacher that got supposedly got fired because she was wearing clothes that was normal clothes, but she was so thick that everything looked like she had a video vixen outfit on. I mean, the way I think our brain works is, man, we sexualize a lot of stuff, right? And if your body has overtly the shape that makes you just, you know what I'm saying, certain parts of your body just pop out, it's harder for us not to notice it. And from that noticing, other things can grow from that. No pun intended. But
that is so unfair, though. Like, she can't help it. Her body looks like that. That's crazy to me.
It's double edged though, because it's a gift and a curse. Because she gonna get lots of benefits from it too. The bad thing is the unwanted sexual attention. But Shan, you telling me that your life ain't been easier because you curvy? Exactly. That's
I'm a great gal. I'm a very nice individual.
You should see that Dave Chappelle skit where they took that lady breast and butt away, and then she just became invisible. And all the men that was helping her carry her bags and her groceries and offering to fix things was like, "Get away from me, little boy."
My question is, do you not know what your body looks like? Thus, when you put on particular clothing, what parts of your body are accented? Understanding that we men are visual creatures, and I mean, shit, we can't. Truthfully, that's not something we can control. When you got your skirt that hugs your ass just right, or you're wearing one of those spring dresses that kind of drapes off the butt and it floats in the wind and flutters in the wind. Yeah, what the fuck? Yes, I'm looking. Yes, I might even prejudge. It's not something that we like. We have to consciously not do it. So I mean, there's got to be some onus on women as well to be conscious of what they have on. I mean, like,
so what do you think? What do you think Chic should wear? Just curious.
Shit, I don't know. Like, if you got a nice, beautiful, wonderful ass, how about you wear something a bit looser on your butt? If you got nice, beautiful breasts, how about you wear something that covers up your breasts? Me personally, wait. Let me say this. Please don't keep wearing that shit, please. I love it. I'm looking like, ooh, I can control myself. I'm not gonna run up and touch you or do anything weird. But yeah, buddy, keep showing it.
AP, you getting dangerously close to the cancel. This is where
I understand what their argument is. I can't. The argument is, I'm gonna wear what I want. I should be able to wear what I want to wear, and you should be able to control yourself as a man. I'm controlling myself by not putting my hands on you. I'm controlling myself by not saying something too wild. That, like, I'm doing the best I can, but when you wear it, you have to understand that as a visual creature, we're gonna look. We're not gonna not look.
Well, looking is okay. We're not saying looking. We're just saying when you're choosing, for example, the misconception that this person, because let me meet y'all. The misconception is because she has a voluptuous body, oh, she must have slept her way to the top. Or because she has a voluptuous body, she must be sleeping. Let me just tell you, this is a real talk. When I was a virgin in college, my first few years of college, I was a virgin in college. And because of my body type, people could have sworn that I wasn't a virgin. I'm from Alabama. That's just how we look, you know. But because in people's mind, they just felt like, oh, you can't have a body like that unless you are sexually active. And my point is, why do you think that people are doing that? I mean, are having an unfair judgment on people just on the basis of the way they look?
That's a given. Absolutely. It goes both ways though. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's different. So like AP was saying, guys, they're visual creatures, right? So they're going to be looking at certain things from a sexual standpoint. Now, if you're a woman, you're going to be looking at certain things based on, like we'll say, especially here in Atlanta or places where there's money, you're going to be looking for certain things that guys have that's going to check your list to say, oh, he's a baller. You know what I'm saying? And and it doesn't necessarily mean that he is, but you're prejudging based on outer appearance.
Well, so maybe the size of his,
or even that,
because that's something he can't control, right? We're talking about things that you can't control.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's the size of his what?
That too. So I just think I don't think the judgment is wrong. Right. I think that's a normal thing that happens when you see people. I think it's how you act on that judgment. If you impose that judgment on somebody. So you're thinking that because my body type is the way that it is, you might come and try to make sexual advances at me, thinking that I'm going to be with that. So at that point, that's when the prejudgment becomes wrong. Or if you a chick and this dude look like he got money and you a gold digger and that's the only reason that you're stepping to him, that preacher, I think that's the part where it becomes wrong, is the action behind the judgment.
I agree.
I agree with that. Okay, so that's going to go into our treasure versus trophy, but we're going to put a little space in between it, okay? Because this kind of goes in there too. I have a video for y'all if I can see it. Let's see it.
Why'd you give my baby up for adoption, Alicia?
Because you were in jail. I don't want to be a single mother by myself.
Alicia, I was gone 10 months and my baby was just born a month ago.
Well, I want to live my life, like I just told you. I didn't know how long you was going to be in jail. I wanted to be outside, be in the streets, travel, get a bag, and I can't do that with no child and you in prison.
Alicia, I am his sole father. I didn't get no decision to make that.
No, you didn't. You don't. When you threw your life away to be in jail, you don't get no type of agreement, communication, nothing. So I gave the baby away.
Alicia,
baby is adopted.
Put your shoes on. We finna go get my child. Like, what? This don't make no sense.
Where do you think we're gonna go?
What do you mean where we gonna go? He ain't at no child's office. He ain't at no defects. Where he at?
The baby is adopted.
You don't know what adopted means? But do you think well, we all know that's not a treasure. So I don't even know why I was going to ask that. So what are y'all thoughts? What are your thoughts on that video?
Well, I think that I think it's a skit, right? Because ain't no way.
You think it's a skit?
Yeah. If somebody would have told me that I don't think it would have went that way. It wouldn't have been that smooth of a conversation if you gave away my child. You know, I don't care how long I was in jail. You gave away. And I thought that unless she just said he didn't have a father, don't both parents got to sign off for
Absolutely.
For it to be an adoption?
It depends on the state. So it would definitely depend on the state. Because there's some
the fact if he's locked up, does that make a difference too?
No, you still
let me look it up.
And so, but the whole assuming it's so it's difficult for me to answer this because I don't think the majority of women are giving their kids away.
They're not.
So I don't think it's a realistic representation. But in order to go into the topic, for somebody to do that, that would be one of the most selfish things possible. And I think it's an indication of how far people have fallen from what really matters. And if trips and bags is more important than your kid, you so far removed from what life is about that I don't know if it's going to be any help for you. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know how you come back from being in that place.
Believe it or not, I'm a little torn between the two. Do I think she was wrong? Absolutely. I would not have done that. But the flip side that I'm thinking about is because that's the way that she wanted to live, it was clear that she didn't want any children. So trying to force somebody to parent will definitely impact the kid. And then the flip side is he wanted his kid, then that makes me think, what kind of father would he be? He's locked up. Now I don't know what he was locked up for. And I can really say, I don't know what kind of father he would have been. We're talking about prejudging, right? I don't know what kind of father he would have been, but looking at that situation, father's locked up, don't know how long he's going to be locked up. She knocked up. He locked up, she got knocked up. And now I'm here trying to be forced to be a parent when I know I'm not going to be a responsible parent. I don't want to be a parent, period. Now, do I think there's alternatives that she could have did? She had the baby, like you said, if this wasn't a skit, I think she had the option of at least saying, asking his people, did they want to adopt a kid or did they want to take the kid? So that definitely could have been an option. But the part that I'm most concerned about is a lot of times women are forced to have kids that they don't want to, and then that impacts the child because they don't have a good parent.
So and this goes into the trophy versus treasure topic. So even if it's a skit, this could be a real life situation for somebody, I did look it up. If you are incarcerated, that does forfeit your rights, unfortunately, in some states. So my thing is this. And this is where it goes back to the baby mama, the baby daddy conversation. We are asking a woman to be a bigger person in the situation, right? We're asking a woman to say, hey, let me consider you and let me contact your family to make sure that they don't want the kid. Because that would take a big person to say, let me look at all angles of this. I don't want the kid. Let me call his family and see. Because she could be like, nigga, you come from a no good family. That's why you in jail. Like, why would I want my kid to be raised in that situation? I'd rather pick a better situation for my kid to be raised in. So there are different ways of saying this. But what I'm saying to you is, I think oftentimes we put women in a situation where we feel that like they should be the more responsible individual, not realizing that women are just as irresponsible in their decision making as some men are. And I think that we give some women way too much credit for that. Like, if she did assess the situation and she felt like that would be a mess up situation for her kid, I don't have a problem with it. But if she did not, if it was a situation where it was just a fluke, he got in trouble and it's not a normal thing, he has great parents, then I agree. But again, you're asking her to be the bigger person in the situation.
I don't think he asked her to be a bigger person. I think we have an assumption that your nurturing will most times prevent you from just giving your child away. I mean, before I give a child, I wouldn't give no child away, first off. But if I did, I would exhaust all the possible avenues. And I wouldn't say that just ask her to be a bigger person. I would think that's just asking her to be a parent, right?
Well, in her mind, she may think she's being a parent.
No, she couldn't have thought she was being a parent. She thought she was going on trips and buying bags, according to that skit. Like, it's stuff that I'd be like, all falls on the man, right? He shouldn't have went to jail. But this 100%, I would assume, like, so are we saying women don't have a nurturing spirit?
Not all.
Not all. I mean, key point. She gave her kid away and she don't even like she care. Like,
and you know how many cases there are of women who've killed their children. Like, it doesn't mean that some of them I do believe have had like, depression and stuff like that. But there are women that do not want children, but they end up having children and then take it out on the kids. And that's why I'm saying in that situation, like my, husband, he worked in DFACS and he had to leave. That was part of why he could not stay in that field, because he's going to these houses, and I think while he was working, it was like two babies that, like, young kid that died, and he was like, I cannot, because you can't just leave. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and then that would come home. So not everybody is meant to be a parent. Just because you can get pregnant and have kids does not mean that you automatically are parent material. Just like when you get married, it doesn't mean the dude is husband material. Doesn't mean the girl is wife material. You know what I'm saying? Just because you have the title doesn't mean that you play the role right.
I agree.
If I'm not mistaken, he said that he was only in there so many months. So it made me 10 months. So it made me think the way he presented it, that she knew it was a short-term thing.
So the second part about this whole situation is we don't know the backstory, right? We don't know if they separated in between the pregnancy, because we know sometimes that happens. We don't know if he's just popping up. She just did, like, she's really cute. She just didn't know when, they may have fallen out. We don't have nothing to do with each other. You went to jail. Sometimes people have a larger sentence than they serve. You know what I'm saying? When they got sentenced, it was a larger time span than the time served. They may be like, okay, early parole or whatever it's called. So we just don't know. It's so many variables that are missing from the equation. But
she did say, I didn't know how long you were going to be in there. She did say that.
Right. So there's so many variables that are missing in this equation. Okay. So I was just answering that, but go ahead if you have anything else you want to say, Pat.
Well, can y'all hear that? That doorbell? Yeah. It sound like a home run in.
No.
All right. Nah. It's just hard for me not to put that, like, so one of the responsibilities that I do put on women is motherhood. Like I just assign that to women, and when you shrug that, when people be like, people want to hold women accountable, motherhood is one of them things I feel like they should be held accountable for, to the same extent, if not more, than a father. So, you don't like that mistake, huh?
I just think that you're giving women.
It's easier for you guys to, like you said, walk away. But again, like I said, it does, just because you're able to carry a child doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready to be a mother, or that you have a mother instinct, or that you have nurturing. It may not mean it. Like, to me, that's just the same as you saying, if you knock a woman up and you get somebody pregnant, half of that child is yours. Do you automatically go into father mode? It doesn't automatically make you a good dad or a dad or a father. So it's the same thing. It doesn't matter that the child is growing in you if you already knew, I never wanted to be a mother. That doesn't change.
I think aren't chemicals released that make you bond with the child while it's in your body?
But people, listen to this. It's surrogates who give away kids all the time. Even though that kid is not produced theirs, they're holding the body. They're producing this kid in their body for 9 months, right? That's why when you give a child for adoption, they won't even show you the kid, because they don't want you to get a bond with the kid. They'll just take the kid away from you real fast, right? Because they don't want you to change your mind. Think about old school, when it was a taboo to have a kid out of wedlock, right? And so parents took the kid away or sent you off to a boarding school. And when you came, you had the kid was taken away sometimes, So this is not new stuff. This ain't new. There's people out here giving up kids for adoption. That's why sometimes adoption, that's why adoptions exist. I'm going to give you to a better family because I'm not really able to prepare for, motherhood or fatherhood or whatever it is that's going on.
So with all the available preventative measures for pregnancy, I don't know, like, she just got to hold that L. Because there's so many different things she could have done before she brought that baby to term.
But in you saying that she got to hold that L, she's not. What I'm trying to tell you is the kid is going to be the one that hold that L.
Yeah.
And I think when you're like, I know a lot of people from the outside looking in and be like, oh, she's so selfish. Oh my God. She just want to get the bag. She just want to, go out on flights or whatever. Just that mindset alone lets you know that she should not be a parent. So I think that was more selfless from that perspective. Selfless from that perspective, knowing that if she was going to be the parent, guess what? She was going to still do that anyway and leave that kid somewhere else that may not have been a good environment, that kid is going to be impacted by wherever she decides to leave him or her and still live her life. And that kid is going to suffer. That kid is going to be the one that catch the L. So in that regard, giving the child away to a parent or parents that are willing to love and raise that kid as their own is a better decision. I know it's hard to hear, but that kid will grow up in a better situation versus staying with a mom that doesn't want to be a mom.
And you know what's so crazy? I know two situations I just heard, and you can Google this. This is in YouTube. It was a woman just last week got arrested for leaving her kid, her baby, 3 years old, dead because she went on a vacation and left that baby in the house by herself for 10 days to fend for herself. And you're telling me that's better than giving that kid up for adoption? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I have a girl who used to cheer on my squad. She was, now Lord, please, I hope I'll put no business like that. She was put up for adoption. And she asked her about her birth mom. She said, Miss Pitts, I'm just glad my family adopted me because my mama is on some stuff. Okay. You have to think, y'all thinking too much about this, like, oh, the mother's supposed to take care. Sometimes they're just not able to. And you got to think about the kid.
It's unfortunate that in my profession, we had so many children that were abused. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that the mother did not have the capacity, mental issues, different things, poverty, different reasons why they should have probably given up their child, but they kept them for check. For whatever reason, even though the check was not even enough to really take care of a child, but they took all of the resources that they did get and spent it on themselves, left their children unattended. They abused the children. They allowed people to come into the house to rape children. All types of things are happening. So regardless of her motive, she was not, even though I believe it was a skit, I'm like Marcus. Regardless of her motive, she did the right thing because she did not have the right attitude to raise a child. Now, should she have given the father an opportunity to take the child or another one of his relatives? We don't know what his family situation was. She could have felt like, look, this is the life he's going in and out of jail. That may not have been his first time. They may have been his first time. She might have been looking at everybody in his family has went to jail. It's just so many things. But the bottom line is she is the person that gave birth to this child. And she was the person that decided, I do not want this child. And who wants to be with somebody who actually don't want them?
So by that logic, is it okay for a father to abandon his child?
It's not okay. It's not okay for her to do it either. But it is better if you're not going to be the parent that you're supposed to be. It is better for you to both abandon the child and let them. That's why they changed the laws where you now can drop your kid off, no questions answered. Fire station, hospitals, safe places, no questions asked. And people are taking advantage of it. Now, we also had, I think 2 weeks ago, we had where they dumped the baby in the trash can. So rather than take this baby to a safe place, they decided, I'm just going to leave the baby.
All right. So, but even with that, right? So if the woman wanted to get rid of the child, she can. If she wants to keep the child and the man doesn't want him, then he goes to jail for not paying child support. Do you think that's fair?
Because you know what, this is my thing. That's if that's the law of the state, then I'm gonna say yes, because he knew when he laid down with her, even if he used a condom, it's a possibility that could have happened. And my thing is, don't lay down with anybody that you don't want to have no child with.
So ain't that what you should be saying to the lady?
Same thing, but she gave it up for adoption.
But he can't give it up for adoption. If she want to
But
keep
this is
the
my
baby,
thing. I agree with that, Marcus. I
Well,
feel
hold on. You did give it up for adoption if you ain't taking care of the kid. Like,
So-
I mean, isn't that the same difference if you have a
So what
child?
he's saying is the law will still hold you accountable and make you pay for it. So,
Okay.
so what I'm saying to you is, Marcus, I agree. I feel like you should be able to terminate your rights when they give you, because you are able to terminate your rights, but unfortunately, they still do. You can still come after that person for child support. I feel like if you can you should be able to sign that paper, terminate your rights, and when you do that, don't come back. It's forever. Don't bring your back. It's about you a new man. You know, gave it to God. Whatever you gotta say, you terminate your rights. Keep on moving. Don't stop. And I feel like you should. And let me tell you this. Huh?
I said it's quite few people who do terminate their rights. And depending on what state you're in, once you terminate your right, it's a done deal. You don't pay child support. You don't do anything. But the other parent, the custodial parent, usually, because it's men who women terminate their right and the man take. It's not just the female. I know men who are actually raising their children and the mother did not want them, but she had enough grace that she decides, you know what? I know this is a good man. He will do right. I'm going to leave the children with him, between him and his family, to take care of it.
So unfortunately, what I just saw was, even if you terminate your rights, you're still financially responsible until a new man adopts your child. Okay, so they are financially responsible, and that's the part I do not agree with. But I also agree that you can invite you can do a no call, no show. And when I say no call, no show, I'm talking about an extended period of time of not seeing your kid. As long as you know that there's a kid that exists, and to me, that should automatically terminate your rights. Because I personally believe a person who is in and out does just as much damage as a person who is just gone, and you probably even more damage psychologically to the kid.
I think it's more damage, the in and out.
yeah. I had a conversation with a friend of mine. He kind of still mad at me about this. While I was explaining that the mother might stop you from seeing a child if you're sporadically seeing a child, because the psychological damage you're doing to that child by saying you're gonna come on Friday and don't show up. Like I've been in the hallways waiting with my cousins. Nobody showed up and he's just in the hallway crying. Like, I think people like, she just keeping the kid away from you sometimes. And it may be that, like, you might not realize that. And I'm sure that the parents operating with love and can't see it that way, but it is harmful to the child when that happens. Like, really harmful.
When I used to work in in college in like a group home, but it was for like younger kids, that you would see the behavior would be so bad. Like if it's supposed to be visiting, like the parent's supposed to come visit that day and they don't show, that behavior would be off the chain. So yeah, definitely. Or if the parents did come, they got a chance to see, sometimes the behavior would be just as bad because now the parent's gone. So that in and out, it definitely impacts the children.
When my cousin father finally showed up, we ended up jumping him and robbing him for his Jordans. We had so much anger about him doing that to him. We couldn't have been more than 9 to 10. I was like 6'4", 9. We beat the brakes off his father. Yeah.
So my question is on mother's side. Why is it echoing? Is that on the mother side? Because I too know women who decided that they will leave their kid with the dad. Why do you think that women are judged differently when they make the decision to leave the kid with the dad, if in their mind that the dad would be a better parent? So because we're on here and a lot of times they're like, oh, I want my kid. How come they don't? So when a mother actually takes the step to say, you know what, that's a better parent, I'm gonna leave the child with the kid, she's still judged as a deadbeat mom or a bad mom. But then if she keeps the kid, then how come, she don't let the kid be with the father? Like it seems like is a no-win situation regardless of what direction she go.
Well, because it's not normal. I don't think it's normal. I think that it's become a new normal, but it's not normal. Most women are supposed to be, of course they're outliers. Most women are born, we're just nurturing spirits, and if you're not a nurturer, that's not the norm. And so anything that's not the norm is going to be looked at a little bit different than anything else. No, it's not right. Like it should be looked at the same, but at the end of the day, it's not the norm. I don't know how else to say it other than that. It just is what it is. Most women don't even, and this is the thing, this is how much of a attachment women have to their children. Even sometimes men feel like, oh, she won't let me see my kid because she's just keeping me away from my kid. No, sometimes she don't want you to see your kid because she don't want to be away from her kid. You understand? She feels she has such an attachment to her kid. I personally don't believe women were made to go to sleep at night not being with their kid, not knowing where their kid is. That's not normal. It's not to have your kid stripped away from you. It's not normal. We made it normal, but it's not a normal thing. Most mothers want to know that their kid is just with the bed safely at night, want to wake up to see their children. That's a normal thing. So it goes back to the reason why people look at women a little different, because that is not normal.
The reason I asked, I know somebody specifically who was, when she, had her child, she really was not, she was trying on her own to like take care of the kid and she couldn't. And so the father stepped in and raised the child, but she was still like, just like, oh, she's such a terrible person. She, she should be raising that kid, da da da. But if I had the kid and I know I financially can't take care of it and the kid would be in a better situation with a dad, then I don't understand in that point where the judgment would come. Because if it's a financial situation, he's a better parent because he's better financially able to take care of the kid. She was in like a, what do you call, like the home, like a homeless shelter, stuff like that. That's
different. That's not most people's situation.
But what I'm trying to say, my point is the fact that she made the best decision for her child. That's what a mother would do. But yet she was still considered a deadbeat mom because she gave the child to the father. And that's what I'm saying. There's a different rule, like, I don't know, a judgment when it comes to that.
You don't think she was considered a deadbeat because of her response? She just paid her responsibility, just the choices she's made.
I would say, yeah, because
you would think of a dude who been a deadbeat because he's just sitting here being, he just have not doing anything with his life. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so, she had the child because which I think was irresponsible. The father wanted to have a baby. They were together, but then they broke up. Once they broke up, she wasn't in the same situation as she was before, and then couldn't really afford to take care of the child on her own. So she gave the baby to him and he raised the child. But now she still looked as a bad parent because of the decision to give the child up.
No, that was.
So she wasn't visiting the child. She didn't have visitation rights. She wasn't a part of the child's life.
Yeah, she was, but now that I think about it, I think that's probably the aspect of her of the same, because I think she was in and out too.
So
So
yeah, no
that makes sense.
consistency.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I think that there is a trade. So I
That
think that
makes sense.
there's a time when women should, you know, like for example, if you have a son and he gets a certain age, I do agree that yeah, maybe the dad should take him. He's like 12, 13, dad turn. You know, I got him up to this point. Your turn, brother. You know what I'm saying? Those are healthy trade-offs, right? But most babies, women want to be around their babies. And you can trust a man all day long, but you know it's just different. It's just different when I'm babies. This is different. It was different. It's just different.
So I've actually just been sitting here thinking on how I feel about that video.
You look cute today. I just wanted to say,
thank you, Shan. I think I actually agree with Aunt Pat. She made the best decision at that time for the child. Actually, man's locked up. She doesn't want the kid, and she probably went to term for him, but he ended up getting locked up. I just think that they missed those early conversations about being a mom, getting pregnant, being a dad, those kind of things. And I think those conversations need to be had before you really engage in sexual activity. Because at the end of the day, we know whether it's a low probability or a high probability, we know that there is a probability, regardless of the measures that you take, that you could get pregnant. So you need to have those conversations prior to having sex. I'm saying that now as, again, a 44-year-old man, and I understand. And I wish I'd had somebody to teach that to me. Just like I'm sure the guy in the video probably should have had a man to teach that to him. The girl in that video probably should have had a man or somebody teach that to her. But I think she made the unfortunate best decision for that kid.
So,
and that's the kind of stuff that actually breaks my heart, though. It's really sad because apparently dude really wanted to be a dad. But I also believe if you really want to be a dad, you'll do everything in your power not to end up in jail. I mean, that there are some things that are inside your control. Just an opinion of mine.
So, anybody else wanted to, y'all mute your thing. Anybody else wanted to add to that? Because I was going to kind of sway the conversation some other way. Thank you. Salute, Harris. But anybody else wanted to add on to that? No. So this goes into, so let's look at it from the female standpoint. You know, oftentimes we devalue, well, they devalue themselves, but we oftentimes speak bad about women who have kids, who are single moms, right? So this woman is putting herself in a situation where she's not in a single mom position. Do you think that weighs heavily on a female's decision when it comes to do? So when we say, oh, so oftentimes, let me get my words out right. Oftentimes when I see in group chats, they say, oh, you have so many options. You could have gave that child for adoption. You could have gave that, plan B. And they always put adoption in there. And here's a girl who did just that. And then it still wasn't right, right? Or you say, hey, you a single mom, and you sit her and you devalue her, like, oh, she's got this label of being a single mom. So she did something about it by giving the child up. So looking at it from that standpoint, do you still think that she was wrong? If you thought she was.
I believe that if you are basing your decision off of being a statistic or not, you probably shouldn't be a mom. Like, ooh, I don't want to be a single. I don't want to be known as the single mom, so I'm gonna give my baby up. Like that. That's fucking stupid. Like, I don't want to be a statistic. That's the stupidest thing I've ever like. I mean, maybe some women think that, but that shit, that's dumb. And I'm just gonna end that there. Jesus.
I still hold it against her because she had the option to potentially find it. By her removing the other parent's choice in the matter, I gotta hold it against her, especially somebody who seemed like they wanted the child. She should have done a whole lot more. And I just can't get over like you travel all around the world, like all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And would you, if you chose to give up being a mom just to do what you do, and I mean, you got a great life, you travel everywhere. Is that worth giving your kids up though?
No, but that's not who I am. That's who she was. And I think that it had basically, I'm going to say this, it really wasn't about the bag. It really wasn't about the traveling around the world. It was about, she just did not want to be a parent. She did not want that responsibility. She used the bag and the traveling as a excuse for why she was really doing this, but that's not the real reason. The real reason was simply she did not want the responsibility of being a parent. And that's the bottom line.
Like when I hear people talk about like actual Louis bags and traveling, they really make that seem like that's their life's goal. So I don't know. I really think that like you might not value it like that because you do it all the time, but there's people who place travel above almost everything. Like this Instagram, like, so you familiar with Instagram, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That whole ideology of impressing other people about all the different places you're going and showing up, like that's so prevalent that people accept, like, give their kid a way to go do it. Like, although I think it's a skit, I think there are people who will be like that. Like the lady that we was talking about, who child passed away because she went on vacation. She's not the only one. I seen another lady who left the child to starve for 10 days. And they watched it on the Ring camera while she was on a cruise. Like, I think I'm jaded when it comes to these vacations. I don't know.
It's not even about vacation. It's about just living your life. Even when it goes to the club. I think it was, if I remember, allegedly, and the reason why I say allegedly, because I do remember reading this, but I can't remember because it was so many. I remember they said Drea left her kid at home by herself. Didn't they say about, Drea that's pregnant now by the NBA player? If I'm not mistaken, I believe that I remember an article where she left her 4-year-old at home by himself. And when they came, the house was in, like, it was on the floor, fecal matter on the floor. That kid was in there fitting for himself. And here she is pregnant again. Okay.
So I think this is something that I don't know women talk about a lot in amongst each other or even in spaces with men. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of times women are, and I'll speak for myself, when I got pregnant, it was a mixed bag of emotions in a sense that I was scared. I was literally scared to be a parent because I didn't think I was ready. I felt like, I was young. I was 21, 22. And for a woman, we know that the bulk of that responsibility is going to fall on us. And I wasn't sure if I was ready for that responsibility. But at the same time, I was in love with, my well, he wasn't my husband at the time, but I was really in love with him and I knew he was excited. Right. So that kind of made me excited. But at the end of the day, I also feared how having a child was going to impact and change my life. So I do think like a lot of times, like men would never understand that aspect, because not saying that you don't love your kid or anything like that, but the responsibility is so different especially at that stage, because you have the option to leave. At that point, she
Pause that mic, Marcus, until she.
It's not me. It's AP.
AP is muted, right?
It's not AP. AP was muted that whole time.
It's the mic. I don't know why it's doing it tonight, but go ahead.
So he, and not saying that my husband wasn't, happy and excited and things like that, but I knew he had already had a child. He already had a daughter, and he was involved with his daughter. But it's different being a part-time dad. When I say part-time, he wasn't with the mother, so they, split time. And then versus being a full-time dad. And for me, I'm like, dang, if they ain't together, that doesn't guarantee that him and I might be together. So now, I'm like, am I going to end up being a single mom? Like, those are things that I had to think about. And that was on me because I did it out of order. I should have got married first. So I have to take accountability for that part. But at the end of the day, I don't think men would ever understand that aspect of being pregnant and having that weight. And if you're young, your mentality isn't fully developed, all of those things. So sometimes that happens where a woman is so fearful of becoming a parent because she don't know what impact is going to have in terms of how her life is going to change. And she may not be ready for that yet.
Go on, Marky. Marky on mute.
So to me, back when you were saying it don't feel natural to not know where your child waking up and sleeping at, I feel the same way. It's like
you're super. Go ahead.
So I think like people that's really in their kids' lives, that's kind of consistent. But in regards to, like, I was afraid to be a father too. Like, because my first child was a girl. I didn't know, what I was gonna be able to provide as far as I've never been a girl before, so I don't know what girls need. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. I was doing all type of research trying to figure out how could I be helpful. That's what led up to me looking at all that early childhood development stuff. That's what out of fear, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I ain't never been a parent before. I ain't never had to be responsible for kids. I know my life gonna change, all this other stuff. So I think that fear go across the board if you're gonna be an active parent.
But you know what's different though, Marcus, is that in that regard, you're different in terms of most men don't do what you did. What they do is and this is just for a lack of a better word. So if y'all can rephrase this better for me, I appreciate it. But even though you're fearful, the thing is that the woman always becomes the default. So you can be fearful, but then also kind of back away because of that fear. But that woman is still going to be responsible, regardless of how fearful she is. She's going to be the default and have to take care of that child, whether you're scared or not. It's very rare that the woman can rely on the guy to be the default if she's not in that space already too, because like Shan said, is the expectation that the woman is already supposed to come with all of these abilities and nurturing and just automatically know what to do as a parent, and they don't.
Did anybody else want to add to that?
I just had a question. Actually, I had a thought after I said what I said earlier, and Ms. Taken touched on this. My question is, how many women, or what percentage of women, have kids or go term with kids for the man?
A majority.
I was just curious. I thought about that because it sounded like after saying, I still think that's kind of silly, but after saying that and then just thinking about the lady in the video, if he would have went to jail early in the pregnancy, I don't think she would have went to term. And just listening to Miss Taken just now, it was she loved her now husband, and she she was gonna get it figured out. So the question that I had was just about how do a lot of women who really have the kid just go to term for the man?
Yeah. So yes, that's why when people sit here and say, "Oh, women be leaving relationships," they do after a certain time. But when it comes to a pregnancy, that woman had that baby because she like you. She's in love with you and she want to have your baby. Okay. So just like you're right, because that promise, if you was a munchkin and she felt like her baby was about to be a munchkin, she would have got rid of that little munchkin. Okay. Um, and that's just the reality of it. If she's carrying your baby because she wants to carry your baby, it's something about you that she wants reproduced in her life. Okay. She wants you. It is the love of you. In her mind, she wants a family. Now, don't get it twisted. We do live in times where women just want kids because they're running out of time. And that's a totally different situation, right? But for the most part, when you are with a woman and you've been with a woman, she's been sleeping with you consistently, she has developed feelings for you. She can play that game all day long if she wants to, but she has developed feelings for you. And she having that kid because she like you. She loves you and she wants to have your kid, and she dreams of being with you with your kid. Now, drama may happen in the midst of all that, and she see that, he acting a fool, like this ain't what I imagined. And then that's when, you probably go separate ways, because, kids will put a damper in a relationship if you let them, but I do believe that most women want the man that they have a kid by, especially in the beginning, for sure.
I think the question was, what's the percentage? So what percentage of them are having a baby just because they want the man and they don't actually want the baby? What do y'all think?
No, they don't want the baby. No, they want the baby. They just want the baby. So this is what, let me clarify. They want the baby, but they want the baby, this man's baby. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they don't want the baby. They just want the man. They want this man's baby.
They want the baby with the man.
They want the baby with the man. And they feel like they get them, the baby will get the man. Mm-hmm. Some of them think that baby will get the man. Okay? He can't leave you if you got his baby, right? Now, that doesn't work all the time, but a lot of them do feel that way. It's just, and when we come, so Darius said, so that kills the religious base. Yeah, because she's fornicating. How is it religious base if she's fornicating? What? You can speak.
I guess he meant in terms of having like the what do you call it? The deletion. Is that what he's talking about?
With religious base? Some Catholics don't believe in abortion. Like, right. I know the Catholic faith does not believe in abortion. So, maybe Catholics. And then, some people like myself, I think abortion is murder. Like, that's just how I feel. I feel like it's killing a kid. So that may not be religious based. That just maybe just your belief on abortion. So, but to put religion in it, but your legs was wide open and they continue to be wide open. Like, what? That don't make sense.
Looking like the Jordan symbol.
You said like a Jordan symbol? What? Oh gosh. Did anybody want to add to that? Christians don't believe in that. So Christians don't believe in abortion, but they also don't believe in fornication. So what I'm saying is, you can be Christian but not living by the Bible. You can say, I'm a Christian, but you're not living by the Bible. And one way you're not living by the Bible is that you're fornicating. So in one sin is not bigger than the other sin except for blasphemy. So I don't think you can really use that as Now, you probably can say, I don't want to be shamed by the church, because the church will look at you because now they know you're fornicating. that's a different story. Shaming your family name, that's a different story. But this is one thing that I would like to take in consideration. Most women do. So somebody said, why don't you ask your mom the village? Most women are not going to have an abortion unless they're rented by their mom or their family members, assuming that they have a solid family, right? Because we all know that there's a grandma who would take the kid and raise the kid as their own, or somebody, because, you know, especially in our community, we don't play about them kids, okay? But I do believe that if she did give the child up for abortion, all of those things were taken in consideration. Because we got grandmamas now that's mama that's on, they like, I'm done. Don't bring your kids over here. That's your problem. We don't know. That's what I'm saying. This entire situation, if it's real, there's so many variables that are missing. We don't know the whole story. Even though she's the pretty.
No, this my aunt Kenny. She's 70 almost.
Ain't no way.
Yes. If that's true, that black on crack.
I can't say anything because I don't want to disrespect my boy.
I agree, Vic. I see your comment, Vic, and I do agree.
Widow, but yeah. So if you just trying to give her a compliment, you can. She widow, so you know.
Yeah, but I'm married, so you know I'll be on some grimy, and that's family. I can't do that.
Okay, so we gotta go. We gotta keep the topic going. Can you somebody read that? Y'all know I can't see.
Kenneth Percival with $2. Shout out to Kenny P. Evening panel, bro Marcus. Hey, you moving too fast. Bro Marcus. AP got on that velvet. That Velveeta.
Right. You better go step in the night.
Hey, Kenneth P, $2. Shan, first of all, watch your hands when you talk. You supposed to snatch something out the air. Kenneth P, $2. That's the wife, Marcus. Blessings. Not blessing sis. Now, this my aunt, man. She literally in 2 years will be 70. She just looked really young.
You see this year.
Yeah.
Y'all.
You look great, Aunt Pat.
You look awesome. So our next video, we're gonna try to get through these. Y'all know I can't even see the video.
And broken women know how to love. Do you know what I heard once? I'd heard that broken men know who to love, but not how to love. And broken women know how to love, but not who to love.
My life. It's my life.
That's saying something right there.
I know how to love. It's just be giving this to the wrong people.
So you think the man knows how to love, but not who to love?
No, he knows who to love, but he doesn't know how to love.
Okay.
The woman knows how to love, but she doesn't know
not who to love.
What do you guys think about that? I agree.
I want to hear the guys' take on that first.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that he said a broken man, though, right? So it may be something to it because a lot of the men in the space say that the best women be attracted to men that they don't think are the best type of men. I've heard a lot of that talk amongst it, and I don't know. Even when I was doing the worst, like cheating and doing all that stuff, I still was able to get amazing women, right? Like really good women.
Yeah, you did.
So
we were so sad.
Yeah.
Because you know when they left him, they left us, and we done got used to this person.
One time.
Marcus, you be bringing
I'm saying that it doesn't matter how it ended. When the relationship ended, they left us also. You know, and so you get attached to these people, especially he had good women that was just nice and sweet, fit right into the family. You forget that they not even your relative, you know, and then boom, they gone. So here you is, because this person wants to cheat and be a knucklehead. Now the family has to do without this relationship that you have bonded with this person. You go on vacation with this person, you interact with this person. You just get used to the person, and then here it is, now he brings another person and you got to get used to the next person, and so on and so on. And so, you know, it got to the point where I'm just not going to get attached to anybody because they're not going to stay. So
What?
Yeah,
knock it off.
I'm serious. I'm serious. So the wife that he has now, it was like 3 or 4 years down the road before I decided, and I talked to him about this. I was like, she cool, but I'm not doing this anymore with you. You know, so after about 3 or 4 years, I said, well, maybe she here to stay, and then I could start having a relationship with her. He was a pistol. And the thing is that he drew good women. He just was not a good man at the time. I'm just gonna put it like that.
I was a good man. I just
So this video is about you. This video is about you.
But what about now?
No, you cool. You cool now. You straight.
Yeah, okay.
But
put the respect on
only because I'm not going to put your business out there, but only because you with the person that bought into your beliefs. That's why you don't have to cheat. You don't have to do all of these things. But if you had somebody like me, you might cheat on me.
I wouldn't date you. I wouldn't date you. It's impossible. I told y'all before.
Yeah, he said. Well, they know your issues, right?
I think we know what those beliefs are, Auntie.
Right.
All right.
You got a way to solve that. He got a solution for that.
A solution.
So
he brings it up every week.
So this is probably about to be the most poorly articulated thought that I've ever had. And I've had some bad ones. Because as a former broken person, you know what you need, what you would like to kind of help heal you and fill holes and fill voids. And that's what you do. You go about filling the voids that from the broken pieces. However, until you learn to that you have to heal within first, you just keep this cycle of bringing in these women that are filling those holes, and there's only really one type of woman that can fill those holes, or those soft, gentle women, which we would consider good women, to fill those holes. And we learned that women like to fix like projects. So why not use you for that interim? Even though I know it's interim, I know it's not long term, but I'm gonna use you to fill the holes that I have right now in my heart. And then once we heal, that's when we should actually start really pursuing women. So I kind of agree with the video. I believe we as broken men will break women. And now that woman's broken, she knows she needs protection. And what type of man does she feel is going to give her that protection? Is that thug, that Tupac kind of dude who's only there for a short term. And it literally becomes a cycle between people until they look inside and fix themselves first. And again, I know I really poorly articulated what I'm trying to say, but I think that's kind of what happens. So I do agree with the video.
I agree with it too, especially with what you said, because that's what I was thinking. I think with guys, when they're hurt, they are able to pinpoint women that would be able to feel that. But I think on a woman's side, when she's broken, she's attracted to probably the same guy that broke up, because in our mind we think that if we can love them enough, if we can do that, then our love will be good enough to make them change, to make them be better. So on that end, when she said that women know how to love but don't know who to love, we're going to be attracted to the hurt guy because we're hurt, but we're going to try to love them enough to not just feel our own hurt, but feel yours too. So like you're saying, you're the project. So we just think that our love is going to be great enough to fix everything. So I totally agree with what that statement was.
I definitely agree with that, and pretty much I don't even have anything to say. Miss Taken hit the nail on the head. As far as what I would have said, the same thing. We look for a project. We think we can fix somebody, and it's all about if we nice enough, we kind enough, we're sweet enough, we love them enough, we do whatever enough, then they just got to change and not be broken anymore. But that's not realistic, and that's not what happens. And when they do finally get fixed, then they usually go with somebody totally different and not the person who actually did the fixing.
Well, I say that's because that she probably, so it'd be like the last, like, so for me, like the last time I got caught in a relationship or whatever, right? I was gonna fix it, but you know, like they say, I was gonna get right back, but she left before I got to fix it. So now they just fixed, somebody else just benefit. That's just how that works. So it can work. I know what you're saying though, but it can work. Why are you looking at me like that? Oh.
Marcus, I'm just so, it just, what I've heard tonight about you, no.
You've been new. Like I told y'all, I had a reformation. Remember, I was talking about how before and then after. After I changed a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it came from the one time that I did get love. Bam. I say, you know what?
Marcus has always been consistent about who he was before he got married.
I agree. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I do agree.
Yeah. John the Baptist with the $2. Wilder always finds this level. John the Baptist with the 5. Shout out to John the Baptist, bro. Men understand relationships the best.
Do they really?
I think we do.
I don't agree. I do not agree.
Well, explain why you think that. Let them explain why they think that they know relationships the best.
I want to hear this too.
Hold on.
Thanks for confirming. I will never bring a family member on the panel with me. Y'all ain't getting none of the tea.
Okay, go ahead.
I already, but I was honest about everything, so I already talked about this stuff before. Imagine if I was lying, she would have got me caught up. Like if I was saying, "Oh yeah, my whole life I've been faithful."
But no, you're not even that person.
Yeah. No, I think men understand the relationships best because men understand duty for the most part, and most men will try and do their best to do everything they can for their family, and go in understanding that they're gonna have to make some sacrifices, and be of service past the point of happiness. If like I've heard a lot of men say, like I'm happy wife, happy life. Back in the day, they used to say that all the time, right? So men put the women in their life above they happiness a lot of times. So in doing that, that was a realistic expectation, especially in those times, how those relationships will work out. That's why I'm saying that they have more realistic expectations going into the relationship. Like most men don't think they're gonna get Halle Berry and she a millionaire and he don't make $1 million. So that's why I said.
But in the same, so they don't think they're gonna get Halle Berry, but they do be aiming for. They do think they're gonna knock that chick that's above their league down, like by making, getting into her head, like you can't get this, and just to break her down. That men, I think that both men and women live in delusion on what they should, they what they can pull or what they can get. Not all men, because there are exceptions to the rule, but I think that a lot of people go through that. I can pull this. Let me shoot my shot. And it don't be accurate, both men and women.
Well, the question, what he said, the statement that the guy made, that I think it was John the Baptist, that he made was, men are better at men do better relationships the best, or something, or know relationships best. I want to hear AP take on that. Do you agree with that statement or not?
I think men fully understand their role in a relationship, and it's for that reason that we men are probably better at understanding relationships, because I believe that women. Oh man, I'm gonna see you put me on the spot. I think that women don't fully understand or will accept what a man's role is. Thus, they think that they have to manage. Oh man, I'm saying this way wrong, but I think they think that they have to manage the relationship, when the truth of the matter is we men fully understand our duty and our role and responsibility, and thus we expect you to stay in your role and responsibility, and you want to cross over and do all kinds of other shit that has nothing to do with you inside of that relationship, and y'all don't understand where you're going wrong, and we can tell you exactly where you're going wrong because we fully understand our duty. So yes, I believe men understand relationships better than women.
All right, Pat. Go ahead, Pat.
Okay. This is my issue. My issue is that we have to step out of our roles because the men are not living up to their roles. So we're forced to do certain things that was never meant to be. So we have no choice, because if we have men going to jail, we have men that refuse to work, we have men who cheat, we have men who go to work, and even if they're not cheating, they come home and they think they're supposed to just sit on the couch and that's it. When I have worked, or we have worked just like they have. So we should share in some of this responsibility as far as household duties, as far as taking care of the children and so forth. And so the men, when they don't do what they're supposed to do, the roles, see, I don't like roles. That's the main thing. I believe that the man is the head. I do believe that, because that's biblically speaking. But at the same time, if you're not acting, doing what the head should be doing, then that means I got to step in and do it. And that was never meant to be. So I think that that's where the problem lies. It's not that you guys understand relationships better. If you understood relationships better, then guess what? You would do your role so I could stay in my lane and I wouldn't have to come into your lane.
2 points I want to touch on. 2 points I want to touch on that you made. The number one thing is not doing the role according to your perspective. Which, if that's the case, then a closed mouth never gets fed. If you don't communicate it, a man won't adjust. The second part is we can't be held responsible for the men that women choose. I know that's the most, Shannon mistaken already know, that's probably the most red pill thing I've ever said. But we're not responsible for the men that cheat. That's, you chose them. We're not responsible for the men that don't work. You chose them. All the men that most of us know, I'm talking about in our immediate circles, don't do those things. So we can't be responsible for your choice. Like,
What you said, but I agree with that part of it. But what you said is that men understand relationships better. So if you understand relationship and you said men, you meant the whole gamut. You didn't mean just your small circle. So there was a generalization, men in general. I wasn't speaking to the men, the few that's doing what they're supposed to. I wasn't speaking to the few in your circle that are doing what they're supposed to. There are too many that are not doing what they're supposed to. And those are the ones that I'm speaking to. But yes, you are absolutely right. You made a decision to be in a relationship with a cheater. Maybe you didn't even know the person was a cheater, but once you found out, you could have left the relationship, and many women stick in the relationship knowing that this person is a cheater. And we do it for various reasons. A lot of it has to do with the fact that once you give yourself to a man, you seem, for some reason, we feel like, okay, I done did this. I don't want to keep on jumping from man to man to man. So I'm going to try to stay here and work on this particular relationship when you should just count your losses. Because if more than likely, a cheater is going to continue to cheat until he hooks up with the person who will not tolerate, or he wants bad enough that he know that he feels like, I don't want to lose this person, so I'm not going to do this. So I can't say that men are better at relationships, and I can't say that they're not. I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to who is best for relationship. But I will say this, that if you want to be better in the relationship as far as the men concerned, then you need to the roles need to be presented when you come into the relationship.
So, okay, so the men in this space, their main argument is that they're doing what they're supposed to do, but the women are chasing the man who, like, in my 20s, it was not realistic for me to have been faithful. So if a woman was trying to find a faithful man, she wouldn't have been trying to date me. You know what I'm saying? Like, to keep it real, it was obvious what was going to go on. So their argument is that women is finding the men that they want, that they may be attracted to, or through excitement, as opposed to the men who already just do all the things that you just listed the men should do. What would you say to that?
You know, the sad part about it is that a lot of women, myself included, we are attracted to our daddies. Whatever our daddy was. I love my daddy. My daddy was a cheater. So I had, for some reason, not even be known to me, happened to pick men who cheated when I'm in a relationship. The difference is I kicked them to the curb once I found out that they were cheaters, with the exception of the last one, because it was just all about the dollars. It was at the point where, just keeping it real, it was at the point where, you know what, we can just be housemates. Because I'm doing my thing, I can travel, I can do whatever I want to do. I don't care about the relationship. So you going over there, as long as these dollars stay at $36.28, I'm cool. You do you, because they ain't getting nothing but some hard,
oh my God.
You know, because this is, I don't know how rated this is, but the point is that I don't care about that one thing that you giving below the belt, as long as you don't take the dollars out. So I came to that realization. I made a choice when I became a certain age that, you know what, I'm not going to be here anyway. I travel. I'm gonna do me. So, and as long as you don't mess with my money and tell me I can't go, I don't care what happens. And that's my thing, right or wrong. That's just how I felt about it, and that's what I did. You know, I was gone all the time.
Yeah, you traveled.
And the thing,
to be clear, you wasn't going to date other men.
No, it was never about no other man. I never cheated. Yeah. He did.
No, but the way you worded it, people pick stuff up the wrong way.
Okay, no, I never cheated, not once. It didn't even come across my mind to do that. Yes.
You know what? I fuck with Auntie, bro. Like, that was probably some of the most real thing I've heard from women in this space. That, hey, I rock with you, Aunt Pat. I really do.
This is what we actually kind of talked. We had a long back and forth yesterday in our group chat or whatever. This is why I say that I think I don't agree with the statement that men are best at relationships. This is why I think. So when we're talking about the relationship, the first thing that came out was roles, right? So I think men define a lot of things based off of the way they think and not really have the ability to kind of what we were talking about, having empathy or having social competence where they can be inclusive in the way that they think, right? Everything is black, white. A lot of times with women, we live in a gray because we understand nuances a lot better than men. So I think men know how to knowing the role and executing the roles are two different things. So I think men know how to talk about what their role is or what a man's role is or what they think a woman's role should be. So they know how to say that, but the execution part is what is different. So 9 times out of 10, when we're here, we say, well, what a man's role? Protect and provide. That's all they say, right? That's it. That is our role. But when you ask them what that protection and provision is very limited in terms of, I make sure my bills are paid. I make sure, my family is safe and they're protected. But for a woman, yes, of course, we need the physical protection if something happens, but it's deeper than that, right? I need you to protect me mentally. I need you to provide for me emotionally. So it's all of those other aspects that men miss in relationship because of just they're more in tune with the physical aspects of a relationship. Let me go to work. Let me make this money. The bills are paid. And they think that that's all a woman, they think that they're playing their role and that's all that the woman needs. But it's so much more that the woman needs that is not being protected, that is not being provided for. And on a woman's side, I not to say that, all women are great at relationships, but I think some of the social conditioning that we get early on kind of trains us to a degree that we need to, our role is to make the man happy despite how we feel. So, and y'all say it all the time, keep your feelings out of it. Marriage is a duty. You just do what you're supposed to do. It doesn't matter how you feel. Whereas for a woman, it does matter because that's part of our makeup. So that's why I say, I think men, and actually I think Shan, we had saw this, where they were saying that they did it was some kind of study or something where they were saying men typically judge themselves higher higher in terms of their ability and things that they can do versus what they really can, and women tend to judge themselves lower even though they have more ability. So that's when I think of it like that, I can see why a man would say that they're better at relationships because they're only able to think from a male perspective of what a relationship looks like. So
I think John the Baptist want to come explain this. You want to drop the whatchamacallit?
Right. I think, let me see if I put that video on here, which I did not. But there was a video that I did want to post, and I did not bring it up for this live, maybe another live. But I agree with what some of the things that I'm mistaken is saying. I think that there are important aspects to, you know, a relationship that are missing. So, for example, when you cheat, there's something about that leaves the woman vulnerable. Now she doesn't feel protected by you. She doesn't feel like you're loyal. There's so many feelings that leave her out in the, you know, the cold. Or even, we were even talking about this before, when you cheat with a crazy chick, now you got your whole family got to go into protection for real, because you know, cheated with a crazy chick, you know. So all of these things are taken into consideration when it comes to some of the things that men say they do. It is a manly thing to do, but they don't understand the manly thing to do is going against the relationship, the commitment of the relationship. So yeah, that's all I want to say.
The irony behind that is, first I want to say mistaken. Keep in mind, I said men understand relationships better than women. I didn't say we pull that off. I said we understand it, and I said that on purpose.
Okay, now, my bad.
In regards to what Shan was saying, we have to get to it as men, and this is me speaking as men. We have to get to a place to where we understand that I've never been a fan of the word cheating, but I understand why women use it. So we have to understand why cheating is a lack of protection for the woman. How that does affect the female, and it's not until you actually sit down and truly evaluate all of the relationships you've had as a man to see where the consistency of where you went wrong, because there's somewhere you went wrong over and over and over again until you got it right. And fortunately, I must say fortunately for my wife, but she's super dope. Fortunately for me, I was able to get it figured out. And I understand what that full umbrella of protection looks like to a woman. Not from a male's perspective, but to a woman, for her to feel fully protected. And some of us don't get there. Some of us get there sooner. Some of us get there right around the age of 36. I'm just saying. But when we get there and embrace that part of our role and turn off some of those external triggers, like the you know, that spring skirt with the big butt. You gotta be able to see it only and keep moving. Don't act on it. And truthfully, I'm gonna tell y'all that's not easy. It isn't. It is not easy. But if you really love your woman and you really want to provide the ultimate protection, you do have to walk away from it. You have to walk away from those urges. I just want to throw that out there.
So kind of like what we were talking about yesterday, right? When we were talking about emotional intelligence, right? I think so. Even when you read these comments or being in these spaces, you can literally hear, right, or see the comebacks in terms of when things are said. There are a lot of emotionally immature, or should I say socially immature. I'll say men and women, but I'm gonna say mostly men, because most of the comments I usually see that be like whoa, usually come from the men, I'm not going to say women don't do it sometimes, but a lot of times when I'm seeing it is when they're responding to something crazy that one of the guys said. That, and then they'll call Marcus a simp, or they'll call what's his name? He got his own pod. I can't remember what's his name.
Trill.
I've heard that. Like he tries to cater to women. Like an emotionally matured man sounds very different than an immature man, you know, that hasn't developed the ability to basically have empathy, to have social competence, like those things, because you're able to articulate your point and stand on your point, but still also understand the other person's side. You're able to see the nuance. You're able to say, you know what, I can understand why you would say that, because you are able to gain perspectives. You're not just stuck in how you feel and how you think, and that's it, right? And I think a lot of times when we're dealing with men don't like dealing with feelings. They don't. Feelings, emotion, all of that is, I don't know, girly to them or whatever. They associate it with being weak or whatever it is. And when you're in relationship, not just relationship with a woman, but relationships that you build at work, relationships that you will build at church, any type of friendships, all of those relationships, you have to have some level of social competence, some empathy, the ability to see other people's perspectives, all of those things in order for any relationship to work. If you only think that the relationship is supposed to benefit you, then you're not in relationship at all. And a lot of times when we're hearing men talk about relationship, especially with the women, they will tell you that your role, your purpose for as a woman is to serve me. That's not going to make a good relationship, because a relationship is interdependent. And when you're just using somebody to fulfill only the things that you want, that relationship is not going to be fulfilling for the other person. I'm just calling it like I see it in this space. Now, if you don't do it, it doesn't apply to you. But if you go ahead and try to use the Bible and say, well, the Bible say that that's what your woman purpose is, you know, then you need to go ahead and start reading more examples of how God led, you know, how Jesus led. He led through service, acts of kindness, empathy, all of those things that the way y'all talk about being in relationship in your home does not emulate, it does not reflect that kind of behavior.
There's only one Jesus, so please don't stack us up against him. We will fail. It's funny you were going through that. I'm gonna tell you what I pictured when you were doing your mimic of the guys in the space. Y'all, everybody seen Coming to America? When it says bark like a dog, and she goes "Urf, urf, urf," a big dog, "Urf, urf," hop on one leg. It was funny when you were saying that. That's kind of what I was picturing, and I don't think that is what they're saying at all. I'd like to think that that's not what they're saying at all. But I just wanted to say that because it was funny, because that's what I pictured was the lady in the dress hopping on one leg, barking like a big dog.
I think that no, I don't think that they're necessary. I think that it's just it kind of it's almost like implied, and I don't think it's meant to be that way. But when you're constantly saying, "Oh, well, she doesn't do this, she doesn't cook, she doesn't clean, and she should cook and clean, right? And so should you." And you know, but then you say, "Well, you know, we can't pay all the bills because it's inflation. So now you want her to cook, clean, and pay the bills, right?" Because they never say, well, I cook, I clean, I expect her to be able to cook and clean. It's always that's her womanly duty to cook and clean, right? And then you push in there sexual. It's her duty to be there for you sexually, which she should want to be, right? So a lot of these things sound like she's serving you, but you have to get help when serving her. And that's when you want her to pay half of the bills. Now, don't get it twisted. I don't mind paying half of the bills, but we're gonna have to share a lot of these other responsibilities as well. And so I think that's what there's a disconnect. Because it's like you don't want to help with her portion, but you need help with yours. Does that make sense?
I think most Black men are like, I've seen studies where they talk about us being the most involved fathers, where we'll learn how to cook and clean. Like, we help with different things around the house. So I think we're probably the most helpful group of men in history, because we traditionally don't have patriarchy set up where we stay at home, we make all this money, and that's not been the experience for most of us. So I don't know too many fathers that didn't change diapers. I don't know too many fathers that won't pitch in when they need. Like, when you hear some of the panels that are married men talking, they all pitch in from what I hear.
So my key word was, this is what you hear. It's not necessarily what's going on, but I'm saying when you hear in these spaces and people are talking, this is what is being preached, right? So I know that if I get a man and there's something going on, I've never met a man who don't know how to cook. I've never met a man who don't clean up after himself. You know what I'm saying? But in these spaces, it seems to be, it gets lost, like, because we don't know how other people live. I can only go by the men that I know. So when you talk, I'm only assuming that that's how you live your life, and that's really what you want out of a woman. And most of the time, it's not like, oh, we're gonna share. I've not heard a man on here brag about sharing responsibilities with a woman. If they do it with their mouth closed. They don't really. It's not like they're saying, oh, I need a woman who I can share taking care of these kids with. I need a woman who I can share, house duties with. They don't say that ever.
I literally was saying that about me.
But do you think that you're the majority? Be honest. Go ahead and hit the mic and tell me if people talk like you. Auntie, hit the mic.
Go ahead, Pat. Hit that mic.
He said no comment.
That's what I'm saying. So it gives off, we're not saying that so I do think that Black men are very involved with their children, right? I do think that all of these things are correct. What I'm saying is what has been put out, what we are hearing in this space. That's all I'm saying.
See, look right here. Abraham Lacey, I'm going to just read it out. It says, women ask for help on house duties, but protection, we have 100% ownership, right? So again, and I know, just like how y'all say women can't handle the truth, it's true, men can't handle it either. So again, I think in that regard, when I said earlier about talking about protection, he's talking about 100% ownership of protection. He's talking about physical protection. He's not talking about the other aspects of protection that I was saying that women need. So you feel in one aspect of it and feel like you're doing your job because you guys focus on the physical part of what it is as a man in your role. And then let's keep it real, just statistically. Like your protection is just like insurance. It's great when you need it, right? But for vast majority of the time, a lot of times when women need protection, you're not there because a lot of the protection occurs when she's by herself, right? So I'm not saying that it's not needed. I don't want to discredit it and say that it's not needed because absolutely, just like insurance, you're like, damn, I'm glad I had that insurance when an accident happened or when you get sick or things like that. But the vast majority of your life is not spent being sick. It's not spent getting in accidents. You know what I'm saying? Just like the vast majority of the protection that you're going to provide when we're talking about physical protection, is not going to happen all the time. Whereas the other aspects of the protection is going to be needed on a daily basis. And those are the parts that y'all really don't provide consistently.
Well, y'all do a lot of bucking when we. So you ladies like to use the word control. Not you ladies, not the ladies on the panel, but women like to use the word control quite a bit when we try to offer other forms of protection, i.e., hey babe, don't put that on. Like, you shouldn't be wearing that. Hey babe, how about you not go to X, Y, and Z? Hey babe, I'm just trying to protect you from you. Maybe you shouldn't say that. Y'all, you can't tell me what to say. You can't tell me what to wear. You can't tell me where to go. Like, there's a whole bunch of pushback for when we're talking about the word protection, because y'all try to pick and choose what type of protection that the man provides. So when it's isolated down to just the physical piece, that's not enough. So, like, the men in these spaces have legitimate complaints, and like, they're not to be just simply discarded or disregarded. I was listening, and that was in my head. I was like, yo, like, y'all, sometimes y'all might want to listen to the man a little bit more. Maybe he's onto something. Maybe he's not trying to control you. Maybe he is just simply trying to protect you. Maybe he's trying to stop you from making a bad decision. Like, y'all can't pick and choose what the protection looks like.
I agree.
Do you realize that the example that you gave was still physical protection? That's my point. You're saying when we tell y'all don't wear that, don't do that, you're saying we thinking it is a form of control, but the reason you're telling us that is because of the idea that we could end up finding ourselves in a situation where some kind of physical act is going to happen to us. Right? Am I reading that the right way?
Yeah, so I think
that's still physical protection. That's what I'm saying. Give me an example of what you would consider emotional protection.
Well, I gave you one earlier.
What?
When we were talking, when cheating was brought up, and I said when you get to a more mature space, you understand that that's also part of protection. Oh, okay. But at the same time, y'all also still, even if it's just like, even if that's just physical protection, where we're giving you the suggestions on what you should not be doing and the places you should not be going, y'all still will buck back against that. So, shit, if you're not gonna take that protection, why would I give you the emotional protection? Why would I give you the mental protection? Why wouldn't I just go ahead and go bust something down when I'm gonna get the same kind of pushback? I just think that the guys do have a legit complaint sometimes. Like, it's not the men aren't that super delusional to where it's these women don't want to listen. Shit, a lot of these women don't want to listen, even if it's for their own good.
But that goes to your point about choosing wrong. You got a woman who don't want to listen to you, right? So
that's a fact.
So even with it, and sometimes it's about protecting my sanity. You know, I shouldn't have to wonder where you're going half the night. Like, it's just for part of just protecting. It is so much more than just, you know, okay, if somebody breaks into the house, which happens, you know, thank God I've not experienced it as a single woman for this long in my life. So if somebody breaks into the house or any of these bad things happen, that one-time event, emotional protection almost happens every day. It's a daily thing. It's not a once in a blue moon thing. It's a daily thing. Protecting my sanity, make me being emotionally, feeling emotionally safe around you. That happens every single day. That's a daily thing. That's how important it is. All those things are of great importance to women. You know, and I think that men kind of miss that that point, you know? So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, Curtis asked, what is emotional protection? Curtis, emotional protection is you making sure that there's a space available for your woman, your wife, to be able to decompress comfortably. Emotional protection is her knowing you're going out, and she doesn't have to worry if you're going to do anything silly while you're out. All of that's part of that emotional protection for a woman. That's what it looks like. But you have to create that space as a man for her to feel safe emotionally. I just wanted to answer his question. And if Marcus wants to chime in, feel free, bro. You've been kind of quiet.
I say no. I just been letting it build, and I mean I agree that the emotional So what was the three? Can you give 3 examples of it for people that may not know what you mean mistaken when you talk about protection, like in real life, how those 3 examples would manifest?
So like AP did say one, like is the consistency. I would definitely say is the consistency of following through on doing the things that you want or say you're gonna do, because that can cause mental, like emotional distress when I'm depending on you for certain things and then you never follow through with them, right? So that would be an example of, protecting me emotionally. Another thing is, like Shan brought up the example that like you going out, stepping outside of the relationship, that would cause emotional distress, right? So knowing that you're trustworthy helps build emotional protection for me, right? Or for women in general. Also kind of like what we were talking about in terms of the consideration of the things that a woman may have on her plate if she's working a 9 to 5, like, just like you, and got the kids and got the X, Y, and Z, like all of these other, gotta cook dinner, gotta take care of the kids, gotta make sure they have baths, gotta help with homework, and you just stepping in to say, babe, you go rest. I know you had a long day today. You know what I'm saying? Like that helps with our emotional, that gives us emotional protection as well. Even though that part is a physical, physical act, it reverberates as a emotional protection because you are considering the stress that I'm gonna have, which is not gonna let me be at the capacity that I can be to be a better mom or a better wife because I'm stressed out. So that's also a way to provide some of that emotional protection. Or even if we are talking and we're in an argument and my triggers, to intentionally, because men do this sometimes, to intentionally do stuff that they know is going to trigger you, right? That's not emotional protection. That's just the opposite, right? So things of that nature, those are examples of emotional protection.
And let me just say this.
We don't do that, Miss Taken. We don't do that because we know if we hit low, y'all hit lower. Stop it.
Let me say this.
You cannot be a man. Listen, and even Marcus, we had this conversation before. If a woman could go low, a woman will not win when it comes to competing with a man to do the worst stuff. They won't win. And we had that conversation before because I think I had gave an example about how like my husband had left like something on the counter and I've just left it there to see how long it would take for him to clean up. I was like, I ain't gonna do it. He would not do it. And I realized I can't even play those games. I will lose every time because it would get to a point that I just can't take it. And Marcus started laughing because he was like, "Yeah, you'll never win."
Shit, y'all hit low. That's why your left ball is lower than the right one. Sorry, Nick.
Let me say this too. I think
Well,
that
then you'll say, "But your girlfriend liked it because you already snatched the girlfriend."
You and your stinking ass weave. Keep playing.
So I think that too, when it comes to emotional, when it comes to I forgot what the topic was, but I think something else to take in consideration is too, I think that a lot of times men leave a relationship, but they don't leave a relationship. Okay. So if you had, let's just say you have a woman and she's fulfilling your needs outside the relationship, you're neglecting your home because you can't be two places at one time. Okay. Because you got two different things going on in two different directions. And so that checkout, women feel that, right? They feel like, you want to know if what a man's doing, if he's cheating on you, his pattern is going to change. Everything about him is going to change. And so when men do that, and the reason why, because a lot of men do, they just do. I know everybody, I wish everybody was as faithful as you, AP. And I can't put Marcus in this situation because we just heard that story. But
whoa.
You are now.
Did you hear her?
He is now.
No, Marcus is on this show talking about polygamy every single week. Okay, so we don't. But
you can't really count it as cheating because his partner agreed to it. So I wouldn't cheating.
Yeah. I wouldn't say cheating. It was a joke. It really was a joke. Pause it. So what I would say is this: if you have two different things going on, men check out a relationship. And so that leaves a woman in an emotional state. There's no communication that's going on. You probably got a little funky attitude. No, you have not left the household, because men don't leave, but they will definitely leave, if that makes sense. And that leaves her in a place where you're not communicating effectively. You leaving, your patterns have changed, and that's distress. And that's not protecting the wife. You're there, you're like, well, I'm here. Like, that's so just okay just to be here, but you're not here. There's nothing about you here. So I think that goes into that category as well. That's a big one. Anybody else want to add? No? And you're right, men and women can cause emotional distress. Vic is absolutely right. Men and women can do that. Okay, and there's only one more video, which is the topic of the thing, and we don't have to talk about it real. And it goes back to what we discussed earlier, the last topic. So what are you guys and I feel like that can go both ways. I think that a man can be a treasure as well, or men like to be called prize these days. A prize as well to women. So.
I refuse to accept that feminine talking point, but y'all go ahead.
They kind of be called the catch, the prize. We had a whole conversation about it.
$48,000 a year and in a 1-bedroom apartment is not a fucking prize. And I said what I said. For anybody in the chat, y'all can kiss my ass. Get your game up, get yourself up. Then maybe we can revisit this conversation. But in regards to the video, I say a trophy belongs on a mantle. And personally, I'm not gonna put a woman on a mantle. I'm just not gonna do that. In regards to the treasure piece, actually, I don't know. Like, I was listening to him and I was like, okay, I'm feeling what you're saying, but I stayed competing. I stayed doing the things that I did to get my chick. So that there's never ever a reason to even be stolen, if we're going to use this treasure metaphor, to find yourself looking for something else, because I'm constantly giving you and pouring into you what I started in the very beginning, and that's where I'll leave at. I'll have the analogy falls apart when we talk about putting a trophy on a mantle, because I ain't doing that, and we value treasure wrong. Like I don't know if that's true either. Anyway, what do you got to say, Marcus? Curious on your point on this.
So when I hear him say the treasure thing, I kind of relate back to men like wife and hoes, right? Trying to change somebody that you. When I think of the treasure or the trophy, when I'm thinking of the trophy, I'm specifically thinking of like a group of girls that's in and out of bottle service, different groups of guys, because he said they keep getting replaced. So you kind of know the pattern of somebody like that. I think it's easily identifiable. I'm not quite sure if other men can identify it or if they're intentionally ignoring the signs. It's still up for debate. I think that's like depending on who I'm speaking to. Because when we were talking about it yesterday, it was clear to me and Daryl, like this woman was not right, an ideal woman, just by some of the stuff she was saying. But everybody else on the panel felt as though it wasn't enough information given. So I'm not sure if that's really what's going on or not. But if I take it at face value, then yeah, I think we need to get a better strategy and thought process universally as to how to value relationships with different types of women. Because one of the things that men say is that women are just good for, like I've heard men say the majority of what they want from women is sex. If that's the majority of what you want, I can see how you will end up in a situation where you don't actually have women that would be a treasure because she doesn't provide anything outside of sex. So yeah, honestly, the answer to this is getting yourself to a position where you want more than just sex from women. Then you probably would get a treasure. If you just want sex, it's gonna be a trophy because it's only one thing that you're really good for. So you just get the most attractive woman in your mind, and you constantly cycling saying these women ain't ish, but basically it's a specific type of woman that you're dating.
I thought they were arguing with you and Daryl just to argue yesterday. I was like, come on, y'all know the behaviors. Stop. And they pretended like they didn't. I'm still trying to picture a female as a treasure. It's hard for me to see it, and maybe I'm just missing the analogy.
So I think when he's saying treasure, he's specifically talking about somebody that's extremely valuable to you in more ways than just one. And a lot of times, like you don't see me posting relationships of on social media all day, right? It's kind of you want to protect some things and keep them away from the public where it could be tainted. But with the trophy, it's kind of like you're flaunting something that's meant to be seen because you don't plan on having it forever. So while you got it, you just enjoying it versus something you plan on holding it and securing. So I think he used the example of the trophies getting secured and kept. Not mean the treasure getting secured and kept and hidden away.
I can understand that. So basically, like a pirate digging up the treasure and throwing it on his boat and kind of not letting folks know he found it. I got you.
It's gonna if you don't mute, it's gonna echo. That's why I'm waiting until you mute it.
I realized. My bad.
So yeah, I think that's like you said, like a pirate, because they plan on keeping that. That's the prize. That's the best possession that they acquired through their works or whatever. I'm curious to what y'all think, Shan and Mistake. Do you think men are able to identify the difference between women that are just trophies and women that are treasure?
I was going to say, I think it all depends on the age and stage they're at in life. I think just like how y'all said we get sense when we hit our 30s, I think is kind of the same thing. I think when the younger men they have trophies, but think that they're treasures until they've had enough experience to recognize the difference between what a treasure is and a trophy is. So I think it depends on like how you was talking about how earlier you just used to, well, Aunt Pat put you on blast, but you already told us the story about how you did your thing with other girls, but you came across great girls. Not saying that they probably were they could have been treasures based on like what Aunt Pat was saying, but you was just probably in the trophy business at that point in time. And so but I think when you truly found your treasure, that you didn't treat your treasure like a trophy. You made sure you held on to it and you're protecting that. So I think it depends on your age and stage.
I agree, depending on the age and stage. I know you agree with the analogy, but I think because I was doing both. So I was trying to win the championship and get all the gold. So I think it's a little different. But I get what you're saying.
But it didn't work out for you because you can never do both. Because eventually something has to come to a head.
Yeah, and when it did, I just changed it and gathered what's the treasure. But I had a long run though. I can't even hold you. My run was nice.
I think that men know. I think that men. I guess mistaken broke it down from age, but I would say that even when they do know, they know. I think they've always known. I think the problem is people want what they want, and sometimes they don't want what they need, right? And that goes for men and women alike. So it looks good. It's not good for you, but it looks so good. It's a want. It's a desire. It fills my desires, but it's toxic. It's this, it's that. It's not a treasure. It's people out here, they don't even care that they don't even care to want a treasure. They just want a trophy. They in a point in their life where, how many times we say, oh, the men who hit men get older, they want a younger wife. That's a trophy. That's not a treasure, because we all know what she's there for, so he knows that. Because a person who a treasure is going to want you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. And so again, I do believe age does have something to do with it, mistaken. But even at a young age, when that girl ain't for you. You know it. You in something toxic. And I'm saying that because I was young too. And even with boys, come on, if you're at 18 and 19 years old, if that girl guy is doing the extra, that's not good for you. You just in love with that toxicity. It moves you. It's like, you do.
You do. I don't
because of your development, but I think
I don't know if you do. I'm like, I have a long conversation coming up with my son because he has two friends that are competing for his attention at the current moment, and he don't realize that neither one of these chicks is he should be trying to holler at. And honestly, Marcus, now that I've considered it a little bit more, you know what? Maybe the men in the space don't know. What are some of the arguments and the gripes that we hear, right? Trying to get women to move and act right. They don't want to move and act right. They want these trophies to be treasured, and they don't want to be. Maybe they don't have the discernment to be able to just look past them and see them as for what they are. So maybe they weren't arguing with you yesterday on purpose.
I agree, because if y'all try to talk another OnlyFans chick off the ledge, Let her be. She is showing you. I tell y'all this every single time because I want you to get in your head because I'm so tired of seeing the reels. She signed up to be the that's what she signed up to be. It was in her to do that. So let her be. Stop trying to change her mind. It is what it is. And then you get mad when you marry her, like, oh, dude, the basketball player, and she goes back to being who she showed you she was in the beginning. It never left. It was just dormant for a minute. Then she got mad at you. You wasn't pulling, doing whatever you was doing with her. And guess what she did? Legs wide open again.
I have a question, though. My question is, because I do agree with what you're saying, but I also believe too, again, the age and state, to me, age and stage in your life matters, because I think the older you get, hopefully you've gained enough experience in just in various areas, enough life experience to adapt and make changes, right? So my question is, how do you determine, or what things do you look for to determine whether or not a trophy is actually a treasure? Because sometimes, like, I look at, like, I'll tell you all the time, I met my husband when I was 18. I would say at that stage of my life, I was a trophy, but he saw a treasure. I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? So I think that there are times where the trophy can become a treasure, but my thing is, as a guy, how do you determine that? You know what I'm saying?
Remember, you told us in the shit. I think it was either last week or the week before. You acquiesced to what he said. You made some adjustments to fit him, and that is a sure sign of at least potential treasure potential.
Mm.
And the fact that you kept making these adjustments, and of course, I'm sure he made some adjustments as well, but you kept changing and growing to be the woman that he wanted you to be. And as soon as that transformation happened, oh yeah, that's it. That's my treasure.
And I think too,
Now, if he would have never acquiesced to what he was asking, what does my boy Hink say? He'd have left your ass at the restaurant.
and I think too, and I think that there's an in between there, right? Because just because she's not your treasure doesn't mean she's not a treasure to somebody, right? So it also depends on what that man is looking for. AP's wife may not fit well in Marcus's life, and Marcus's wife may not fit well in AP's life. I think that it's not a one size fits all. It's what that person deems is appropriate for him. What I may deem as a treasure may be totally different from what you feel is a treasure, mistaken. You know, so I just think it's just in the eye of the beholder. Now, there are people we know are not treasures. But hell, to one of these men who them women get stalked. He may think she a treasure because she fulfilling something that he really want, he need. You know, we don't know. So even trophies can be treasures to somebody. You know.
So, well, off camera, that's what we were off camera, that's what we were just talking about. Because I was saying I struggle with, since we use these definitions or whatever, or using, these phrases, that I felt like all the women that I got was trophy women, and then I just picked treasures from that trophy. Like that's a fair statement, right? And I knew the difference though, which is why I always run back to it. Men interacting with women is a skill set that they have to learn. So it's kind of hard for me to push a man just falling in love at 18 and moving forward without experiencing life to be able to even navigate and tell the difference between the women. I don't think women require that same experience as long as they run into a goal,
Can't turn to a housewife. They better stop playing.
Well, hoes arcs can be housewives as well. Now, would she have morals and would she, do the things morally that you want her to do? Probably not. But she can probably tend to a house. Sometimes them hoes can cook. They can clean. They can whip
Which
up
is
some.
why you meet them at their house so that they can cook for you, and you can smash and take your ass home and leave them the mess to clean up. Don't turn no hoe into a housewife. Don't do it. Shit.
Somebody in the chat say we conflated them. He right, it did get conflated. Because when I was thinking of trophies, I specifically was thinking to a certain beauty standard, where it's like I could see you in a magazine or in a video or something. So I was just saying that from there, but it messed the analogy up. So yeah, I
Maybe
digress on that.
when I think of trophy, I think of a person who you can brag about. Like it's like it's all about physical. That person you just bragging about it. It's no depth. Like she doesn't have substance. She doesn't bring much to the table. She's just her looks. That's what I think about it.
That's
The
That's what I think about also when I think about a trophy. It's just strictly her outer appearance. And that's it. On the inside, she is a monster, you know, as far as, and then this is the problem. The guys, like the basketball guy, he took a trophy and made her into a treasure in his mind, but she was still just a trophy. And she could, that's sometimes trophies can never be anything but a trophy. They can never be a treasure.
So you say these hoes don't always be hoes?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you, I know some women who by definition would be considered a hoe, but with the right man, they became treasures. Just by definition. And you know, I even had one, she would say, I'm a hoe from way back. I don't know why she would say that, but that was her favorite statement. But she ended up making a great wife and mother. But she was faithful once she got with the right person. So I guess she went from a trophy to a treasure. I don't know. You know. I'm just telling you what the definition of what we consider a hoe, she was definitely that. And it's some out here. So I can't say that a hoe cannot become a treasure or a wife or whatever the case may be, because I know people who actually turned their life around. Or were they actually a treasure who was just disillusioned and lost?
Wait, so how they turn it around? Did that, was it like religion? Was it like a good man? Like what?
I think, well, some was definitely religion. They became saved, but it's some that it has nothing to do with that. They just at some point in their life they decided they ran into the right man and they decided, you know what, I'm gonna settle down and do right, and that's what they did.
So you're saying that the right man would change a woman?
I definitely think that the same, and vice versa.
I think they can spark the change.
Yes, you got to change.
The right woman can spark the change, but
I think they
maintain it. Yeah, you have
to. I think they will. You will want to change if the person that you want, if it's a requirement and you really want this person, then you'll put forth the effort to change. But nobody can change another person. We all know this. But I can say, you know what? I met Mr. Right, for lack of a better explanation. And I know that there's some requirements in order for me to be with Mr. Right. So I make a decision. Okay, you know what? I'm going to give up some of my ways because I truly want to be with Mr. Right. And one of my ways could be hoeing. So I know that if I continue to hoe, I cannot be with Mr. Right. So I'm willing to give that portion of my life up so that I could be with him.
I made this argument sometimes. I just wanted to highlight that.
And I want to point out, it's important to know why she is sleeping around. you'll be amazed. And I've said this before, you'll be amazed how many women sleep around because that's their attention. They like the attention that sleeping around gives them, right? They don't get that natural attention. So they feel like I have to sleep with this guy just to get his attention or get him to desire me the way that I want to be desired. So you have some people who just like to have sex, and you got some people who really just want the company of a man, and that's how they get the company of a man. They're just doing it all wrong. So it's different hoes. I mean, it's different whole strategy.
I was gonna say,
okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree with what Aunt Pat was saying about meeting the right person to spark the change. But like she said, they'll make the adjustments for the person. But the problem is that if they're strictly only doing it for the person and not really seeing the value in the change that the person is sparking. So if they're just sparking a change, you're trying to get them, and whatever you did, whatever you're doing is still really not out of you. You really don't have the mindset that you want a different outcome. Then I do think you'll fall back into like your old habits. But if the person sparks the change where they can show you a different outcome that aligns with the life that you want or the goals that you want, then I think you're more apt to stick to that, the changes that you're making to be with that person. So it's just in me. I truly believe vast majority of people can change, but it's the mindset behind whether or not you want the change. So like when you say there's just some people you just can't change. Yes, those are the people that are of the mindset that they will never change because they don't see any value. What they're doing right now, they're getting what they see as value. So there's no reason for them to change. But I think other people that if they're put in a situation where they see the value in the change, they will look for ways to make those changes because they want that outcome.
Right. I think, what's her name? Shan.
Shan,
I think you hit something very important when you made the statement about people. What did you say just before?
Mistaken.
Yeah. Just before mistaken.
Women cheat. I mean, not cheat, but sleep around for different reasons.
Okay, so that brought to mind my roommate when I was in college. She was a Caucasian woman, and she brought home on the weekdays a different man every night. On weekends, she brought one in the afternoon and one in the evening. And this went on for about a year. So we won't even add how many people she slept with. And she would go back there. She slept with each one of them. And you knew she was sleeping with each one of them because of the noise that was going on. And all of a sudden, she's screaming and hollering. Everybody made her scream and holler. So
she was faking it.
I don't know. I ain't into it like that. I ain't gonna say that's her thing. But the point is, about a year and a half into this, one of the guys she brought home, they connected. They ended up getting married, and she stopped sleeping around. Because to be honest with you, we thought she was a nympho because, but apparently not, because she was able to be faithful to this man once she hit the man that either one, I don't know exactly, because when you're 18, 19 years old, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what was going on. But thinking about it, I think that she was just trying to find somebody to love her. Once she found the person that was willing to accept her, that was all that she was looking for. So she stopped sleeping with all these different men.
Did he know she was on?
Now, you know what? We at a small university, probably so. I don't think he cared. Mm-hmm. But I can't say for sure that he did know. I knew because she's my roommate. Now, was people around campus talking to her? She white. I ain't hanging no circles, so I don't know. To be honest with you.
That's great.
I just want to make two quick points. Men, If you have the option, don't you turn no fucking hoe into a housewife. Because the point too is these hoes ain't loyal. Use them for what they good for. We need hoes. We need them. Use them for what they good for, because she's cool with it. Don't you turn that bitch into no motherfucking housewife.
So you saying
do
that
it.
none of them can change? Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I said. What I said was, men, if you have another option, don't you choose that hoe. She was, I believe, yeah, no, a zebra can't change her stripes. A zebra will not turn into a fucking giraffe.
So
I see it what I see.
So are you saying that, like, with I'll use you. I wasn't gonna say Marcus. I was gonna, since Auntie brought that up, like saying, so if a guy had a past where he consistently did what he did, and then he meets the right woman and changed for that woman, are you saying that woman should not
double standard?
No, what I'm saying is, are you saying that woman shouldn't trust you? Because it's still the same in terms of pattern of behavior, regardless of you girl or a guy. The pattern of behavior is still consistent. You haven't practiced discipline, right? So to think that you're just going to meet a girl and, oh, she just changed my world, and now you've already built a habit of not having to not have sex, for her to think that you will, is that stupid on her part to trust that you're going to be faithful in that relationship?
So I believe men and women are different. But yes, to answer your question, to stay consistent, yeah, she'd be stupid. But I think there's a very distinct difference between men and women.
How?
And which that's one you and I will never agree on. I understand.
No, I can see a woman changing and not doing it before a man can, especially the way that Marcus is talking about how men's biological nature just prevents them from being faithful. They need more than multiple. So I truly believe that a 304 can change quicker or more so than a man who has a history of being a 304. Absolutely.
Yeah, she'll change when she hit that fucking wall.
There's no such thing as a man 304.
I agree, Marcus.
Just because y'all are all agree on that, don't make it true.
What they agree on, Tara? Mistaken.
Saying that there's no such thing as a male 304.
What?
They called them gigolos back in the day. Y'all just had a different name, different number.
Rolling Stone.
Still wasn't called a male 304. That's my point. Ain't no such thing as a male 304.
I agree with Mistaken, though. I think the woman has a more a chance of changing, unless it runs in her families. I think that should be running in families too. I think that she has a more she's more prone to changing than he is, because sex is just looked at totally different for men than it is for women. So I do think that for sure. Now that won't change her body count and how many times they've been, but it will. I do think she has an ability to change if she wanted to, for sure.
So
men, don't you change these hoes. I don't want to have to say this again. Men, don't you change these hoes. We need them out here for the next generation, and some of us might want to participate in her activities too. And if you try to take her off the market, you fucking up the whole market. Leave her alone. Go find you a good woman.
Wait, so
have you ever thought that maybe the woman is out because some people have been sexually abused, and the reason, and they acting out sexually because that's what was done to them. And so once they get therapy and get help, then they stop doing these types of things. So you're gonna hold against the person where they were sexually assaulted when they was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
You gotta say SA. Don't say the word.
Okay.
Yeah. Use
Okay. SA.
Yeah.
SA. That when they were minors, and now they're acting out by, going out doing things that were 304 that requires them, but all they need is some help. So you're trying to tell me that this woman has gotten help and she's no longer living this lifestyle, that she shouldn't be given a chance due to no fault of her own?
So, all right.
I will say that. Let me say. I will say that depending on the mentality of the woman, right? Like I said, there are different reasons why people cheat, but her mentality. That some people just view sex like it's not. They have no value to sex. Those women absolutely probably will continue to be 304s. They might because we've seen it when they do the little interviews on the streets. Do women cheat? Yeah, we cheat. That's the mentality, right? They don't see any value in, but there are women who are actually hoeing, but may see value. It's just they're not getting the results that they need. They're not seeing that this is not how you're supposed to move to get the results, that you need to try a different way. And maybe she's not attractive, and that's probably the only way she can get him, or whatever. She can, the man she desires, she can only sleep with him to get him. You understand what I'm saying? So I think it does depend on how that woman views sex, the importance of it. Because it's possible that when the going gets tough and she's no longer interested in him, she may go back to getting that pleasure from different men. So I won't say, but I will say that if her mentality is like she really is a good person, she's like your roommate, she may be trying to just find love. It's possible that she found love and she's like, okay, mission accomplished. I'm done.
Let me put this theory to practice. So if I had met a porn star, right, that used to be a prostitute, and I came and said I was getting married to her, what would you say?
And she changed her ways?
We think she changed her ways.
Okay. That's a hard one, because if she's truly changed, then I don't have a problem with you if that's what you want to do. I'm gonna bag you up 100%. If it was me personally, I probably would have to pass on the porn star. I could deal with a woman who sleeps around and gets herself together and gets healed, because like she said, it's so many different reasons why. But to me, when you decide that you want a profession as a porn star, that's out of my atmosphere as far as a mate.
Well, that girl, your roommate, she probably slept with more people than the porn star.
It's a possibility, but it's totally different.
She just didn't get paid for it.
Yeah, she as a porn star, you put that out for other people to see that you was 304, right? Versus the other one who is not being videotaped for the world to see, is easier to kind of keep that, between y'all, versus everybody like, oh, isn't that from such and such video? Like, I think that's a little different.
It's the same like men marry strippers. It's actually men who marry strippers. If you think about it, all the people that came to the strip club, including your boys, done saw her, but they see beyond that person that took off their clothes. They did it to, let's say, pay for college. Now, here it is. They are Harvard graduate, gone to law school and paid for all this with stripping, but they haven't slept with anybody.
So wait, you telling me that there's a Harvard graduate stripper that never slept with nobody? Get out of here.
No, I'm talking about slept with the people, the customers. I'm talking about, there are people who legitimately strip but did not sleep with their customers that came up in there. They were strictly about their dollars, and that's all that it was. Now, of course, that's the minority, because the a lot of them do sleep, but I'm saying that there are actually people strictly one set mind. I need to get my education, and so I'm at the gentleman's club, and this is what I do for a living. But that's not who I am.
Yeah, I'm not letting my son marry porn star.
Me neither.
Okay, so I'm Aunt Pat, I'm gonna address you point by point, and I'm gonna be a little bit more serious because you brought up SA, and that's a very serious thing to me, right? I will say it takes a very special man to deal with any woman, whether she was for them streets or not, because of it, any SA survivor. So, bro, this is just to all the men that are listening. If you don't have a ridiculous amount of patience, a ridiculous amount of understanding, and high temperance level, don't break her any further. Just leave her alone.
I definitely agree with that.
That's just me being honest about that. Regarding a stripper, I'm gonna have a little bit more fun with. Bros, it is a small minority of them women that are wifey material. Throw your dollar and leave them alone. Don't you try to wife a stripper and you're going to be the next one on one of these panels talking about how women ain't shit and how women are delusional when your ass was the delusional one trying to wife a stripper. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. And aside from that, if she a baddie, let her keep working so other folks can enjoy her body, please. Don't you take her off the market. Let us enjoy that, please. But when it comes to SA, that's such a serious thing, and I think that it's kind of under talked about, especially in our community. But the unfortunate thing about it is that the reason it's under talked about is because it's hard to talk about. It's hard to listen to. So you've just got to be a different kind of person, period, to deal with anybody who hasn't formally dealt with their SA. And even after that, you still have to be gentle with them. So please get to know your mate, the person you're looking at spouting up, and really try to be more understanding, especially in those types of situations. And I'll end the plane there.
Remember, I brought what we had not too long ago. It was when it was the Kevin Samuels thing that they played, and I got so much pushback when I brought that up based on what he was saying about, like, I think it was a part where I was saying I agreed totally what he was saying, but I could see where some women would get upset about him saying about dismissing the part of when he was like, why do all women try to act like On the Color Purple? I gotta fight all the time, or whatever he was saying. And he was like, and that's not vast majority of women's experience. And I got pushback on that, which tied into the DV and the SA about how often it does happen to women and is not necessarily talked about because the idea behind it is supposed to be in secret. Nobody's supposed to know. And then I had asked y'all, have each one of y'all know somebody that have experienced that? And every single one of us said we did. And that's why I was saying it's not a matter of trying to say that all men are guilty of that or most men are guilty of that. But there is a significant amount, because I think the stats was saying that it was like 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 women have experienced that. That's a lot. That's a lot. But we don't talk about it because I think a lot of times when we do, I think men feel like we're trying to say it's them, like personally. You know, like how y'all say, if it don't apply, let it fly. But I think because it's such a serious thing, no man wants to be seen as like that person. And I get it. But I think that that's part of why we can't have the conversation as well. But
so it was that conversation that prompted me to kind of dive into it a little bit more. The actual number is 1 in 7 people. That includes men and women. That is huge. That is so huge. I can't believe that we don't talk about it more. Again, I understand why, because it's truly. I don't want to sit for 2 hours and listen to stories about that happening to people. Nobody really wants to sit and I don't know how many of us can stomach it, because all it does is make you angry. But yeah, I dove a bit more into it over the last week, and I was like, oh my God, this is gross.
And the thing is, I think the number for guys, I think the stats that I saw was like maybe 1 in 5 for boys, or 1 in 6. It wasn't too far off, but I think the numbers for boys are probably even higher. And the reason I say that is because socially, some of it is accepted, in terms of if you a young boy and it's the older babysitter that's like, 15 and you're 10 or 11, is like, oh my, like y'all brag about it in a sense of it being a sexual experience, like, oh, I was getting it in at 10, as opposed to it truly being a situation where you were taken advantage of. So I think the numbers for guys are a lot higher, because all of the guys that I know personally and talked about when they started having sex, it was always mostly a situation where it was the older babysitter that, was doing some things. And so I think the numbers are actually much higher for guys than like the 1 in 7 or something like that.
Okay, so did you want to add on to that? I didn't want to go into the whole, but
no, like I said, it's tough to discuss it, and I'm just giving the numbers that I was able to find, and yeah, it's really tough to discuss. So yeah, we can move on. Oh wow, we're approaching 3 hours.
Yeah, and I have one quick question, but go ahead. Go, you better read these.
Go ahead, Marcus.
John the Baptist with the $2. Excuses. John the Baptist with a two again. The ladies just proved my point.
I don't know what that was.
John the Baptist with 2. Explain the Trinity.
I think he said that twice. That's a different.
John the Baptist with 2 again. Explain the Trinity. So I think when he was John the Baptist with $2. Why is a relationship based in hurt?
What was we go ahead and do the Trinity thing?
So I think this was earlier when he was trying to say men are better at relationships than women, and he was saying, "Well, proved this point." John the Baptist with 2 again. Mistaken. God placed His values on us. He was trying to come up and explain it.
I agree. God placed a value on us, but that doesn't mean other people understand or recognize your value or your worth. Sometimes you don't even recognize your own value or worth. So, yeah.
John the Baptist with 2 again. Women are 304s. Men are 304 mongers.
305.
He just spelled it.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, ain't that what it's saying in the Bible? John the Baptist based most of all his stuff off the Bible.
So I just wanted to ask, I just wanted
to interpret the Bible. So that's why I think there's a lot of issues depending on who reads the Bible and how it's interpreted. That's what I've heard some stuff like I don't
all
know
the Bible.
Baptist, I don't know him like that at all. It's just only in these spaces. And sometimes I've heard him say things that I do hear a lot of people say sometimes that you interpret it to your benefit.
So kind of like they did with the slaves. So listen, I just wanted to address it's something I saw on Facebook real fast. I am now confused on what men want out of a maid. I just saw a Siamese twin, not both of them, but one of them got married. And I guess the other one is just waiting for her mate. I don't know how that's going to work. But they specifically said Haley got married, which means whoever the other girl, whatever her name is, did not get married. But that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is she got a man. She got a ring.
Do you got a picture of this? Wait, so it was two people living in one body?
Yeah, they were connected by the head. They were connected by the head and shared the same body. They couldn't separate them because of where they were connected.
Does one of them have more control over the body than the other one?
Probably Haley.
The one that got married got more control?
Possibly.
You know, it's really wild. If one of them didn't want to have sex, could he be charged with rape?
Oh, because she could be like, I just want to be very clear. Haley, you're married to Haley, not.
Right.
Stick with Haley's vagina.
Okay, I just want to add clarity here.
Separate vagina. You know, maybe she can have hers is.
And you know,
I got mixed up. I didn't know which.
I think that's a prime example of what relationships look like when you have two people fighting against each other. Two heads on one body. That's all I think that's.
That's 2 mouths. And the second part of that's 2 mouths. That's 2 mouths, but you always got a mediator. Hopefully they don't think the same, like, nah, you was wrong, sis. You know, and hopefully she's honest.
What is their names? Because they are older. I remember when they were younger.
Oh, but is she married?
You said that they were joined at the head, so it's two separate bodies.
Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you.
I think they share. I remember they share one body, but have.
Yeah, share one body.
Yeah, they share one body.
And he looked happy too. Look at him.
Because he in a threesome every night. Well,
and read it up. And
he's in a 2.5. Some.
You might love different things about each one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, they share the same boobs. Listen, but you know what? That dress kind of big. Let me look and see if I can see up the bottom. Let me see, because they may have different. Oh, Abby and Brittany. That's their name. Let's see. No, they shared. They only got one below. They literally have 2 heads and one everything. The only thing they have separate is the heads. Oh, I'm so happy for them though.
What do you think when you see that?
Wait, Shan, say what you said. Say what you said when you said. She sent me the thing like, look at this way. I'll tell you what she said.
Shut up, mistaken. You know you can't keep nothing a secret, boo.
No, it was funny. It wasn't anything bad. She said, I'm not married because I'm black. If they could get married, this time I ain't married because I'm black.
Them white men be
I'm
married.
sure. I'm sure there's shit that.
I think it might be some credence to this. She might be.
No, she ain't that married because there's no man good enough for her.
You say what?
It's no man that you deemed good enough that you wanted to marry.
Those are lies.
Oh my God, such harsh language.
Those are lies.
No, Shan, I'm sure there are things that they will be able to accept that you wouldn't be able to. Like this dude, like I can see him saying some shit like, "What are you gonna do? Divorce me?" Like it's one of those situations where you can actually say and mean without gaslighting or trying to be manipulative and say, "Come on, sis, who else gonna marry you?" Like
I would hope that that's not the
like one of them. No, look, one of them is really. I just looked at the picture. One of them is really, really, really ugly, and the other one is really just okay at best.
Well, he looks.
You're one man. You got to deal with two different personalities all the time. Not some of the time, but all the time. There's some shit you wouldn't accept that I'm sure this man is going to be able to get away with. Like you got like more power to this dude. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't. And I don't. Well, maybe their box is split. Maybe they got. Never mind.
No, it's not split. I've already checked.
Oh Lord. So what if the right side is saying, "Hey, I need you to move a little bit more to the left," so I like, and then the left side is like, "No, I need you a little bit more to the right." Oh, I need you harder. Oh no, softer. Like this shit is crazy.
Black
No. But if one fall asleep, one into it, the other like I'm going to sleep one time.
Right. Black Lexicon said, "Oh my goodness, that has got to be next. A black and white Siamese twin."
A black and white Siamese twin.
I thought he meant. Oh, okay, I read that. I thought he meant the conversation you say is because I have to be black because the Siamese twins ended up getting married. Do you think that there is some legitimacy to what Shan just said about white men? No, I mean about white men. Because remember we had the conversation about interracial relationships in terms of white men have the mindset of wanting to marry, but we have a lot of black men that don't really believe in marriage or especially in this space from what we see and what the stats are saying that more and more people are not getting married. They don't see the value in marriage this day.
It take me out because I know I'm a little odd, but just period. A lot of black women.
My response was to you because I think you got a man that want to marry you right now, maybe 2 or 3. So
I said take me out of the situation.
So this go back to the value proposition, right? When we was talking about people seeing themselves a certain way. So sometimes the men that would marry aren't the men that the women want. So does that say more about the man or that the women may have a different value than what the market is rated at? Because if you asking for price and you get it, then you value yourself at the right.
We see it, AP.
We see.
Yes.
AP, stop. I think that it's definitely so this is the thing, right? There are far more women than there are men. For it to be the woman, these men will be married, right? It's just meaning they don't want them. They want because they have choices, right? So if men were marrying and they just weren't marrying them, I would say you're in delusion. You're not, but only a certain amount of men are marrying, period.
You're saying there are far more women than there are men that are marriageable?
No, she's saying population wise. She's not saying.
So if
And
only,
even-
if
and
only
even-
God had ordained a solution to help us get through that issue.
Marcus, nobody wants to be about that life.
What you mean? Yeah. So if he's talking about polygamy, I get that. You know, I'm down for polygamy. It just doesn't go again. It's just not. It's not. My Bible doesn't support it, right? So that's the only thing.
It does.
It doesn't. It's about Old Testament stuff. I'm talking about new and red and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm saying is, if my Bible were onto it and it just weren't, it was the law of the land, I wouldn't mind doing it, right? But because for me, hey, two people, look, get this house clean. I got a little buddy. We go to grocery shopping together. She my friend. Everything checks out for me. But as far as what you were saying, I do think that other cultures of men, and we mentioned this before, are more marriage minded in this day, than we are. And that goes for men and women, though.
Agree with that. And I think a lot of it has to do with when they start being, let's say, toddlers and stuff, they're already being formed and taught that this is the goal. Whereas we have so many single households, that's not what we are.
They don't see it.
Right, exactly. It's not played out for us.
Mm-hmm. They don't see it. It's not bad. It's not bad. And I would even say it's women's fault because I've seen Black women talk their sons out of getting married. They've talked their sons out of getting married.
I just want y'all to know, dude is petty. He only married one half.
He did.
That's petty as hell.
Because it's polygamy if you marry two of them, right? It's illegal. So the other one just a side chick. And she can't even help it. It's illegal to marry. She has her own identity by the law, I'm sure.
Right.
So it is illegal.
Literal. Like, we're not even speaking figuratively. She's literally a side chick.
Y'all going to hell. Y'all going to hell. Listen. Going to hell. But it is definitely illegal. So they probably couldn't even put her on the marriage certificate because then that's polygamy.
So we need to legalize it to protect the sanctity of them people relationship. I'm with you.
They didn't even bend the law for them. So they ain't gonna bend the law for you.
It's gonna be interesting on how he's going to address when they doing what they do and she just there. It's weird.
She better turn into a rapper and make some ad libs.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's the widow. And
Why you say that?
just he wants the two women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you have to be a special kind of man to marry
two women.
Not to marry two women, two women that are joined together.
But you know that some people have fetishes like that. Like
I was saying like that.
So, but how unfair is it to the one that didn't get married that she got to deal with this?
And listen, we don't even know. She may have liked him too, but the marriage certificate only allows one person, and she probably said, "Okay, if you can, sister, you can do it." I'm sure they had to be in agreement on a man that they, I would hate that my sister would marry a man that I don't even like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that it worked. And they look very happy in that picture. She looks like she's like happy too. So, but what would be interesting
that's her permanent face.
If Abby found a man that she liked and she like, well, I want this man. Does that mean you have to have sex twice?
So
true. If the other one wants to get married to somebody else, that's gonna be conflict because if the first husband, how would the first husband feel about that?
What if he got a divorce from the one and then married the other one because the first one wasn't acting right?
I think we don't went too far with this.
This is not right. This conversation is not right. Okay, it is not right.
I do have a point though. I have a point. I have just a quick point.
Look
He
at
would
what
never be able.
Post it in the back chat real quick.
He would never be able to marry or divorce her for infidelity. He literally has a built-in excuse.
I may be like, girl, get you do it. I'm willing to believe they only use one name because of the marriage certificate. I don't think that I don't think that it's literally that I fell in love with Abby and I didn't fall in love with Hannah, whatever the girl name is. I think that it was just for the marriage certificate. If you guys are two separate entities, you just can't marry two different women because that's just illegal. I think that's what it is.
So you mean to tell me this?
Huh?
These laws got to be addressed. This is ungodly. If he made two people, he should have been.
I don't know if it's ungodly, but it is definitely it's not very fair for the Siamese.
This
of the Siamese. That's how you got to approach the law. This is discrimination. Siamese twins cannot even get married because of polygamy. How fair is it that she needs to be that's what you got to travel to her and you have to advocate and to have her advocate for herself and the laws will be changed.
That's true. Two heads are better than one.
Listen, I'm giving you Marcus.
That's what it said. Two heads are better than one. You got that right.
But did you notice that it looked like she was always looking over her shoulder? Like the way they're joined, it looked like there's a short person hanging over her shoulder.
I'm not trying to get the picture like
she's always photobombing her sister.
That's not funny.
All right, I'm done. God forgive me.
Y'all a different type of, and the fact that these chicks is married, but if it's a bitch out there laughing and she's single, this chick got married before us. So how about that? Jokes on us. I believe they put that in there for that.
Maybe you should glue another head on your body.
Yeah. Who knew the whole time I just needed another mouth?
All right, Shan, call it a night.
All right, well, yeah, we're gonna end on that note. You guys, thank you guys for hanging in there with us. We'll see you next week, same time.
Thank you for coming, Aunt Pat. Shout out to Aunt Pat.
You have to come again. We enjoyed you. You were supposed to stay for 2 minutes, and you stayed the whole time. That's what I'm talking about.
I said 10 minutes, didn't I?
And now it's 3 hours and 18 minutes. Oh God. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.